Hello
rolling.
and
We're keeping it.
welcome to the Really Big Fucking Podcast episode 2. I'm Bino,
Hello. And I'm Poet.
and today we're gonna hit you with some hard-hitting shit, like the SI playlist and our thoughts and the invitational updates, and we're gonna teach you how to play the game
Hard-hitting.
good. And then we're gonna tell you what we fucking hate about the Siege community. So getting into it, Poet, you were just talking about the updates, the invitational. What do you got?
Yeah, so we released our last episode before they released some information. So we have the schedule now for the invitational, which is cool. It's all pretty straightforward. The group stages are going to be double elim style. So uh, the first seed is going to play the fourth seed, and then the second seed is going to play the third seed. The winner of that match is going to go up against the winner. Well, the winners play each other, and then the losers play. And then so whoever wins the winners match advances automatically, and then the winner of the losers game plays the loser of the winners game, and then whoever wins that match advances in seed 2, and then we go to if that was confusing, I apologize. It's GSL rules. We can go look it up.
Yeah, I mean anybody who has a knowledge of what a double elimination bracket
Yeah,
is should
it's a
just,
double elimination bracket.
yeah.
Very common.
Which I think is,
Let's see.
didn't they do just a straight like single elimination for the last one, and actually for the last Pro League finals as well?
I think so. Yeah.
Because I don't know, I'm not a big fan of single elimination in general. I think double elimination is just the way to go for just about any competition there is.
It's a lot more fair. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of the same comparison to the best of one format as opposed to the best of 3.
Yeah.
Because a best of 1, it's so easy to win or lose, one match. It's not. I don't think it's a good side-by-side comparison of a team skill if you only play one game.
Yeah, it's a bad measure of skill. Like ideally, and here's the thing, ideally you would play a trillion games, and then whoever has the most wins after a trillion games is the winner. And you'd get a great idea of which team was better. So I don't know. I think anybody who makes the argument that best of 1 is fine doesn't have much ground to stand on. But
I mean, I like best of 1s for the season format because of how long the games are now, where it could possibly go to 15 rounds.
Yeah.
So like playing, especially when they're playing 4 matches a day. So imagine if instead of 4 maps a day for a play day, it were up to potentially 12, each one taking an hour.
Right. Yeah. There's obvious time constraints that they just can't deal with.
Right.
And I kind of wish they would just up the round count even a little bit more. But obviously, like, the casters have lives. The all the people at the ESL tech crew and like the audio guys and all those people have lives.
And the maps too. Like, if you're winning your defenses, I mean, how many sites are viable on a map? They have to buff like every map in the game if you're going to be playing. Otherwise, the defense is at an inherent disadvantage, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you still just keep the two site rotation, but just elongate it even further, like past 6 per side.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know, because we just played a scrim earlier today that went the full 15 rounds, and it everybody. I wasn't complaining because I understood the fact that it could take a long time, but people that weren't used to it were like, "Oh my god, this game took forever."
Yeah, I think
it's like, imagine that as a pro right now. Imagine doing that like 3 days a week and having it be, like one of the most important games you've ever played.
Yeah, and imagine the invitational for this format having 6 rounds per side, playing a best of 3, and then in the finals I assume is going to be a best of 5, but I don't know that for sure. But
I hope so.
Yeah, the invitational could possibly be way longer, and like the games could be drawn out super long, and I don't envy the players, I'll say that.
I mean, I envy the players from the standpoint of the fact that they're playing for a $2 million prize pool or whatever,
Yeah,
playing a video game to make money.
Yeah, that part is pretty sweet.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, it's scheduled for the first day, Friday. Well, the group stages are going to be online, so.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so the first day of the actual main event, the quals or the quarters, is
Hmm.
scheduled from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's from pre-show to wrap up. So that's a long day. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's 14 hours. Like,
Yeah, I mean, just look at any of the teams that play Go Fours, and they just like whichever team wins a Go Four has been playing for like 13 hours straight.
seriously, it's more about endurance at that point, which it's sort of. I mean, going back to the best of one format for the season games, I enjoy it from the standpoint of the fact that it forces teams to have to show up and play that day. Like you can't um, you just have no wiggle room. You have to get it done. It's like in American football, right? Like you only get one shot, and if you don't show up that day, you have a bad game, then you don't get another shot at it.
Right. Yeah.
So
At
I
least,
like it from that standpoint, but I agree that it's not exactly the most fair assessment of skill between two teams.
yeah, it'd be awesome if eventually, and I think they might actually be forced to do this at some point. Just make it an even longer event, because look at League of Legends or Dota and how they set
Mm.
up their yearly world championship.
Hmm.
It's like a whole 2 or 3 week, maybe even longer
Oh
than
yeah,
that
it's a
actually.
whole yeah, it's a whole thing. Like it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I think eventually Siege will be big enough that it'll warrant that, but I don't know
I
if it'll
think so
happen
too.
anytime soon.
Yeah, getting back to the invitational sort of schedule, the year four roadmap reveal is scheduled, and the new operator reveal. There's going to be a short movie about Rainbow Six and a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. It's called Behind the Siege.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I think I saw
and
part of a trailer for that today.
yeah, well, they're releasing some of it up on YouTube, yeah, piecemeal, but
Hmm.
it's all up on rainbow6.ubisoft.com. If anybody wants to go check it out, and then there's going to be a documentary. Like there's an All Star game, which always are entertaining. I love the All Star games. You know, they like to meme.
Yeah,
Um, some
and, and
some
and actually,
sometimes,
usually the All Star games have the new operators in them, don't they?
so the uh, new operators typically are featured in the All Star game. The new operation reveal is actually scheduled after the All Star game this year, so I'm not sure.
Oh,
I
interesting.
hope so. I hope it is because it's always fun. Like I still remember when they had um, Serenity 17 in the All Star game,
Hmm. Oh, did you
and
did you see the announcement today from the Siege Twitter? The new operators will be Australian.
well, I mean everybody knew that, right?
Yeah,
I mean
I
that's
think it
been
was.
leaked for like a couple months.
Yeah, they just like officially confirmed it today with a little picture. It was like a kangaroo crossing sign.
That's great. I mean, I think that they realized that like they couldn't hold on to it anymore, so
Yeah, for sure. Which
they're just
is
like fuck it.
which is like every season. Although
Yeah,
have we had it released yet? What the new gadgets will be, or have it leaked yet? I should say.
it has. Yeah, it's been leaked. God, I don't even remember. I don't like paying attention to leaks,
Yeah,
uh,
it's.
because it kind of like. I mean, it's cool. I don't mind leaks from the standpoint of um, creating excitement for the game,
Hmm.
but I I just don't personally pay attention to them because I like to be surprised, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
I think a remarkable number of the leaks for this game have been true though, so I just always look at them because I'm interested.
yeah, well, there's a certain couple, maybe one or two people that are always deep diving this stuff and putting it out on Reddit like way, way in advance. Um, oh, that's right. So it's a defender. The defender is able to hack drones,
Oh, right.
offensive drones, and take them over. Potentially take them over. Not sure about that yet.
Yeah.
And then the attacker has a sort of like web, like a net, floor netting. Um,
Oh, yeah. Some kind of
and then
yeah,
it,
some kind of attacking trap op.
yeah, kind of. And then it apparently it's supposed to it does damage and makes sound, and they reveals their position. Which, I mean,
Will it throw me onto the floor into a
Ubisoft.
claymore?
No, I hope not. Ubisoft hates flanking apparently.
For real.
Because yeah, after Nomad, which she has 3 flank holding devices and a claymore.
Hmm.
So good luck. And then this, Gridlock is apparently his handle, which I don't know if that'll be his actual name or not. Like I said, I don't really pay attention to a lot of the leaks. Like I don't mind it. I'm not anti-leak, but um, I'm not flex tape. But I just personally don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I have no faith in Ubisoft. Just saying. Like, I just assume that this attacking gadget will just be dumb as shit, just like Nomad is. Um, like probably not overpowered, but still like zero counterplay, like zero risk, like a little bit of reward. So
Yeah,
I guess a lot of it comes down to how visible it will be, like the web thing. Like if it's
right.
another like borderline invisible like fist-sized gadget that sticks literally anywhere,
Hmm.
like Nomad is, I'm gonna be disappointed. But I guess we'll see.
According to this one leak that I'm reading about, it's only deployable on the floor. Like it's not like I mean,
Oh, okay.
so you couldn't like stick it on a wall or stick it on the ceiling or
Mm,
whatever.
yeah,
Like you have to
above a
actually
doorway.
walk over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it almost just seems like a weaker version of Nomad to me,
Yeah.
or like a Legion on the attack,
Mhm.
which whatever, it's fine. It all depends on how it's implemented, right? The leaks aren't 100% on all the details, so I'm gonna take
Yeah.
a wait and see approach on that.
Yeah. Same.
It's fine. If it's underpowered, that's fine. If it's overpowered, it's not great, but
Yeah.
we'll
I'm.
deal
I
with it.
just want it to not be invisible. Is my thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we still have issues with like frost traps clipping through the textures on certain maps, like theme park. That still goes on where you can put a frost trap on, like it like sinks into the tarp or something like that.
Right. And actually,
Um,
that's another interesting question, whether or not this new gadget will be something that's triggered, or if it'll be like barbed
mhm,
wire, where just like when you're in the effect of it, or when you're within the area of it, it'll give you this debuff, whatever it may be, and
mhm.
do like constant like damage over time or whatever.
That is a good question. If I had to guess, I would say it's sort of a triggered thing, like a legion, like a goo mine.
Hmm.
Like if you trip it, you're like you're taking damage, you're slowed, and you yell out and it makes a noise. Like if I had to guess, and then
Yeah.
you can like hold F or something to work your way out of it and then be done.
Hmm.
If I had to guess, but yeah, I mean it could be like barbed wire, I suppose.
Yeah. I think it might be most interesting if it, or at least most useful and not a pain in the ass to play against on defense, if it was just when you step into it, it like makes noise and does damage over time, but you can just look down and shoot it. Like that gives the defend, or it gives the attackers enough time to know you're there, and you have to look
Mhm.
away from them unless you want to slowly walk through it. Kind of like just barbed wire that does damage and makes noise, which is what barbed
Yeah.
wire should be, other than the damage dealing, I think. But like barbed wire doesn't even make noise anymore, so this will just
Yeah.
be
I mean,
what barbed wire should be, maybe.
if you're a crouching 3 speed and
Hmm.
you just like slowly crouch through the barbed wire, you can make it through just fine.
Yeah,
Um,
I think people put a little, well, maybe not people in general, but I think we as a team, the people that we play with,
mhm.
uh, probably put a little more stock into barbed wire than is actually warranted, just because it's not where it used to be.
I think that barbed wire is strongest when everyone on the team knows where it is. Right? If
Hmm.
you're playing with people that you don't play with very often, or like God forbid solo queuing, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Um, you know, barbed wire is virtually useless. Like because you don't know where it is. If you hear somebody hitting barbed wire, you already have to know where it is in order for you that information to benefit you.
Hmm.
Unless you have obviously line of sight or if they're in a like narrow whatever. But like on a staircase, somebody's hitting barbed wire, you can't tell if they're above, below, like you don't
Yeah.
know how far down the barbed wire is, stuff like that. I think that like on pro teams, um, or any cohesive unit where people know exactly where the barbed wire placements are, that information becomes much more valuable.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the pro teams play barbed wire in a way that lets them react to it instantly. They always play close enough
Right.
to it that they can just kill the person as they're stepping into it.
Yeah, I mean, barbed wire was the original, defensive uh, intel, right?
Mm-hmm.
That used to be the only information you had on defense except for default cams,
Right.
or I guess like in ADS. But like that's once you're getting uh, stuff thrown at you, it's kind of too late. Um,
Yeah, and I guess thinking about it that way, it does make me not as angry that it's like shitty now, because
that what?
that barbed wire is shitty.
Oh yeah,
Because now we have all
cut a
these,
nerf.
yeah, we have all these other tools now to get that info.
I think I think it was certainly necessary. I mean, especially with the introduction of Legion. If you had barbed wire in its pre-nerf days when it was still really and you had operators like Legion and Echo and L, uh, then yeah, it would be a tough time to attack, especially with how many operators can bring. Which I always get mad when there's not enough. Like I think you need at least 2 operators bringing wire on any defense.
Yeah, I think that's a fine rule of
You can
thumb. I
get
think,
away with one. I mean, yeah.
yeah, I think you can easily get away with just 2 pieces of barbed wire and on most sites, but
Well, I mean,
it
if you know
obviously
where
depends on the
it's
map.
going. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Well, moving on from however we got to that tangent, I wanted to mention the SI playlist and how we're not
Love it.
playing it right now, and how it's weekend only because Ubisoft hates us.
It makes me so sad, like having to go back to just like normal ranked.
Yeah, I just don't play during the week anymore because I don't want to play anything else.
I honestly haven't like that much ranked.
Yeah, I like the only things I do during the week is just the collegiate practice and the scrims with them. So like SI is
which are a lot of fun.
yeah, SI playlist is too good to not play exclusively.
It really is. It is like the way that the game was meant to be played.
Yeah.
It just feels so right. Like I understand the fact that there's no elo to it. Like it's not competitive. It uses the casual MMR. People are dipping in and out, and it's not very competitive most of the time. But when it is competitive, when you get people on your team and the other team that are actually trying and playing the playlist like it's supposed to be and not leaving, then it's the best experience that I've ever had playing the game, to be honest.
Yeah, if you get a 5-man squad, your odds of running into another team that is at least trying goes way up. So like
Mhm.
just just getting all 5 of us together and just stomping feels so good cuz
It's a lot of fun.
like we all watch a lot of Pro League, and
Yeah.
we know the Pro League maps extremely well, and
Mhm.
those are the maps we like to play on because they're the good maps. They're like the tried and true tested maps that are good. There's only like
Mhm.
maybe 2 outside of the Pro League maps that are even like
Remotely viable.
yeah, it'd be like
there
Chalet and
are a couple of maps, yeah.
yeah, it's like Chalet and maybe Skyscraper, but even that,
I would like Skyscraper more if it weren't for like all the balcony runouts, I think.
yeah, and I would be fine with Skyscraper if they just made the balconies bigger so that your only means of getting into it wasn't rappelling up and swinging in. Like get some
Yeah.
stairs on that lead up to those balconies, and then we're good.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Like if there was a stairway that led up to the terrace window, like somewhere between the terrace window and the geisha window, that map would be so much more tolerable.
Yeah, it really would.
And then get another staircase over on the opposite side.
Yeah. No, I agree for sure. It's yeah, having to rappel up and swing in, and then you have like 1.5 meters of wiggle room.
Mm-hmm.
People hop out on you and like don't even really have to aim because there's really only one place that you can be. I mean, it's easy. It's relatively easy to counter if you're coordinated.
Yeah,
but like rappelling up to the geisha wall and like the geisha window is just it's always a death trap. Or God forbid you're having to attack work office because like you're either taking from terrace or you're getting run out on.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah, and see, I don't necessarily Well, I guess I do mind it, but there's my whole thought of this is if you get up to those balconies and you get your
Mhm.
claymores down, then you're just going to get free kills because people will jump out on you. Period. Um,
Yeah.
but if you play that way, you're accepting that the defenders are just going to jump out, and then the game is just a ridiculous shit show because it's just a bunch of stupid claymore kills and then people running into sight.
Hmm.
So
That's fair. I mean,
like
uh,
attackers are super favored on that map, I feel, because it's so easy to just claymore every window and then just smoke and plant, or just ying and plant, or just
mhm.
ying and kill everybody. Like if you just ying into the T window and then just jump in, like make sure you shoot the frost
Yeah.
trap on your way in because frost has like a 80% pick rate on skyscraper because
Hmm.
of the windows. Like it's the exact same reason you take 4 claymores when you go to skyscraper.
Right.
If they just made, if they just like changed the number of windows, added some stairs to the exterior, not a bad map.
Yeah, that was our because on the team that I played for when we played our Go 4 tournament, a long time ago. But Skyscraper was in the in the rotation back then. But that was our strat. Like we always did a T window black stairs take instead of the traditional geisha take because it's so easy. I mean, we didn't there was no Ying back then, but you take like an Ash and just flash in, and it
Hmm.
was done deal.
Yeah, for sure. Um, do you want to?
I think I know that you. I mean, I know that you hate Cafe, but I think Cafe is one of the handful of maps that are closest to coming back into the rotation.
I
Um,
I regret that I probably agree with you.
I mean, it's really formulaic at this. Everybody does the exact same thing every single time.
Hmm.
You take the red hatch, you take into piano, and then you either then you just plant in the doorway or behind the bar or whatever.
Hmm.
And mostly you just kill everybody. And then mining dining is the same, the exact same attack, only you open the hatch instead, and like open the vertical play,
Yeah,
which reminds me back to a skyscraper. I don't think the vertical play is even like fully developed yet on that map.
I'd agree with
I
that. I
think there's
think,
still a lot of potential for vertical play.
yeah, for sure. I think people. I think for the most part, you don't even need to a lot of the time, especially now that Maverick exists. I think if they brought, I don't know, it was bad before Maverick came out, so I don't want to go that far. But like Maverick also kind of broke Skyscraper because now you can just take Geisha for free every time.
Yeah, yeah. Maverick ruined the Geisha hold for sure. But
Hmm.
I mean, but then my adaptation, which I probably stole it from somebody. I doubt that it was my own original idea, but my adaptation was to turn Geisha into a kill box and just shotgun the walls open so that anybody who hops into Geisha gets shot. I mean, and then
Hmm.
it requires a Mira to be in play still, which if you're in Pro League, obviously that's usually not going to fly. Um, but then you get Mira windows in T, and then you can just peek
Yeah,
anybody that hops into Geisha. It turns into like a murder box. It's actually a pretty good story.
yeah, I think that's the best way to play it at the moment. But if they got bans in some type of format that also had Skyscraper, it would be better at least.
Yeah,
Like
you
if
could
you could just
ban
if you could
Maverick and
ban
then play it,
Maverick,
or
yeah, ban Maverick and ban either like Ying or I don't know, Zophia's super powerful on that.
yeah.
So,
People like to play Glaz a lot when they're attacking the work office side. Not so much the T, but
and you can pretty much always guarantee that a Ash is either gonna come up the north, the black stairs, or I think some
yeah.
people call the south stairs black stairs, so I probably shouldn't call them that. But if you just like, it's almost guaranteed that an
Well,
Ash is either gonna jump into T, go through the T doorway, or come up the or the north stairs.
mhm.
Like that's for whatever reason Ash just loves doing that. That's her thing. So
Yeah.
if you're ready for that, I feel like it's not as bad to defend.
But imagine a castle ban on Skyscraper and how less viable the work office site becomes after that.
Yeah, which it's like barely viable as is. even with
Yeah,
Castle.
I mean it's
So
like the go-to second site for ranked, but I think it was like the third in Pro League because they used to go to Kitchen a lot. Which the
yeah,
Kitchen hold is the same as the Geisha hold, which
hmm
is not viable anymore.
yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, I like
Kitchen.
Cafe.
Here's the thing, even though too, if you go back to the first, yeah, it was the first invitational. If you go back to the first invitational, watch map 5. They were playing Skyscraper. It was just attack win, or no. It was defense win, defense win, defense win, defense win.
Mhm.
Oh no. Sorry, reverse that. It was attack win every single time because they would just walk Monty in from the T doorway and then walk into T
Yeah.
every single time. And some of that would still be viable if you did add bans. Like you would just be like playing that back when it first came out. So I think
Hmm.
even then that map would probably still be attacker favored for most of the same reasons we've already talked about.
Probably.
So I don't know. I think that map is kind of irredeemable until they rework the exterior.
I would agree. Yeah.
Um, but speaking of banning, I kind of wanted to just talk about banning in general, like
Let's do it.
what makes good bans, what are bad bans, what's the actual theory of banning, which
I like the ban Tachanka.
there you go.
It's 300.
You know, if you ban Tachanka and then post a screenshot of it and put it on r/Rainbow6, you'll get like 6 billion upvotes. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think I've already seen like 6 posts of that. So just keep posting it,
It
people.
is the will of the Lord.
It's still original.
Yeah.
Keep posting it.
It's not the low-hanging fruit at all.
But I wanted to kind of talk about what I think, or at least what I think is probably just the standard reason to ban something that should trump everything else, like all other reasons. But it
Oof,
doesn't.
don't say Trump. I'm triggered now.
Oof. But it supersedes all other
There you go.
reasons to ban
Perfect.
something. So if you're trying to ban something, you do it for one of two reasons. Either you just don't like the operator. That would be like your Blitz and your Caveira bans.
Mm-hmm.
Or you ban something because you know that the opposing team can use that operator better than your team can use that operator. And obviously, when you're playing online in matchmaking, you don't know for sure. But
Right. I mean, unless you're like going up against the same team of people over and over.
yeah, if you run
Which
into people
it's not
every
that
once in a while,
common.
but yeah. So if you're playing like comp, and like if you're playing a Go 4 or something, and you know
Mhm.
the team that you're playing against,
Mhm.
then your line of thinking should always be which operator do they play so well that it outweighs how well we play that operator. Like say for instance they have like someone who's just crazy on Glaz,
Mhm.
and you have someone who's crazy on Glaz, but not as crazy. Like you want to ban the operator that the disparity between how well their best player plays it and how well your best player plays it. You want to ban that operator where that disparity is the biggest.
I absolutely agree.
And I think most teams don't think about that. Like I think kind of in a roundabout way some of them do, but I think a lot of the times people just ban like, oh, that guy's pretty good on Capitao, even though like you don't necessarily think about how your team could use Capitao.
Right. Right.
Um,
If you're talking about, so are you still talking about comp then? Like
uh,
with your collegiate team?
yeah, talking about comp, talking about matchmaking in general as well.
So we're talking about matchmaking. It's always Lion Blitz. It's um, if it's not Lion Blitz, it's like Lion Cav.
Well, for attackers, like
Yeah, for attackers.
um,
I mean, defender bans are also very, very predictable, right? It's like Echo Mira. And I legitimately only think people ban Mira because they see the pros do it all the time.
yeah, and I don't think
Like,
people understand the ramifications of their Mira ban most of the time, at least
well, then
in
they can't
matchmaking.
defend.
Yeah,
They have to
they
completely change their strategy.
yeah, like unless you've practiced a strat that doesn't involve Mira, don't ban Mira. Like, what are you doing?
No, you just have to go back like a year, and
Hmm.
pull strats out from before she was introduced because she
Yeah.
completely changed the whole game. I mean, she completely altered every map in the game.
Hmm. Yeah, in a not insignificant way, for sure.
No, she's probably one of the most influential operators to ever be released.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Um, and I think people exactly they ban her because they see pros ban her, and then they don't have a backup strategy for when they don't get to use Mira.
Hmm.
And also on top of that, something I also want to this really jams my pellets. Um,
Yeah,
it's is when people uh,
we didn't even introduce that segment yet. You just
oh, I'm gonna introduce it right now. We're doing a segment called Jams My Pellets, and this fucking jams my pellets. It's when people make the excuse of we're attacking first, let's not ban X. Like that has nothing to do with anything. You don't ban based on which side you're gonna be playing on first. It like you're
yeah.
gonna have to play the other side eventually. Like
I think
going up
that
2-1 doesn't make it like so that your attack ban now doesn't affect you just as much as it affected them.
the only benefit to that ban strategy is if you can go up 3-0, right? If you can go up 3-0, just the psychological damage that has the potential to do,
Hmm.
the other team tilting, is enough to put another round on the board. Because I think that's the thought process behind that. But it's very short sighted because you eventually do have to switch sides.
Yeah,
So
and you're putting so much weight on the idea of tilting them into oblivion to the point where they can't
right.
fight back. You're putting so
Hmm.
much stock into that you're not even thinking about what else you could be doing with that ban.
Right. I absolutely agree. And everybody's come back from being down 3-0 or in normal ranked like 3-1 or whatever 3-0. Everybody's come back from those sort of things.
Hmm.
It's not like it's really that hard.
Yeah,
Or
it's
it's
really
definitely
not.
not
It's
impossible
and it's even less impossible when
with a new format.
yeah,
Yeah,
with that new format, because now you switch to defense and like maybe it's a defensive sided map. Like
it
you don't
completely
know what's gonna
changes.
happen.
Yeah, it changes everything. And there are certain maps that are more defender favored versus attacker favored, and it depends on the bans and it depends on players obviously, but
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, going down 3-0 in the new format's like nothing. I mean, how many matches in Pro League that where teams came back from
Yeah,
a
there's
6-0 to tie or a 5-1 to tie or win
yeah
eventually?
I've
Like,
seen a lot of 4-2s and 5-1s come back to even. So like
and imagine if like because we were down, we were playing a scrim against your collegiate team, and we were down like 4-1 at
I,
one point,
yeah, I think that was it.
and everybody on my team was tilted through the roof. Like no communication, dead silence, like nitpicking little things here and there. And I'm just like, then the side switched and we came back and won, right?
Hmm.
Um, and part of that was just like, hey guys, like be patient. It's like, you tell yourself things that, oh, it's just defender sided, or it's just attacker sided, or whatever. They worked, around their bands better than we did with ours, or something, little things you
Hmm.
tell yourself to get through. But at the end of the day, it's, it's fair. I mean, you switch sides and then you just do your thing. It's not even being down 4-1, 4-2, 5-1. It's not even that bad.
Yeah, and I think another thing that a lot of teams that do start to like go down, like maybe you're down 0-2, down 0-3, I think there's not enough good communication explaining, hey, this went wrong, let's fix it and do better next round. I think teams that are down have a lot more opportunity to win back games before the sides switch that they don't
Hmm.
take advantage of a lot of the time. And I'll be interested to see how that plays out in the collegiate league as well, because I think there's a lot of times where you go down like 0-2, like you just lost a basement defense on bank, and you're like, what did we do wrong? I have no idea.
Sure.
And like people just kind of like throw up their hands and like try the same thing again. Where
hmm
with this format where you get to play all of your defensive rounds in a row, there's so much opportunity to just like read what went wrong and then fix it and do it perfectly the next time,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
teams that don't communicate well aren't going to take advantage of that, and then they will go down like 0-6 on their side and then just get tilted into oblivion. And
hmm
when the sides switch, they won't be able to play it as well as the opposing team played their attacks or whatever
Right.
side it was.
Well, and I think something that jams my pellets also is that when people like get tilted off of a round that they were never supposed to win, like because
Uh-huh.
there are people, a lot of people that play this game think that they should be winning every single gunfight, every single round, every single game. Like they think they're better than everybody else. They think that they should just never lose,
Mhm.
and that's not the way that this game works. There are certain games that are kind of like that. You know, like you play Call of Duty, there's a good chance that you just won't ever lose if you're good enough because you can literally shred everyone.
Mhm.
Um, but this game is not designed for that to happen at all. Like there are certain sites where that you are the chances of you losing is very very high. You know,
Yep.
all things being equal, if you're equal skill to the other team, which is what the matchmaking system is supposed to do, right? It's
Mhm.
supposed to pit people of equal skill against each other.
Yeah, and
Then
barring like teams that are like diamonds queuing up with silvers, it usually does a pretty good
oh,
job.
that's a terrible
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, I think people say that the matchmaking is ass when what they're really saying is the scumbags who are squatting up with huge disparities are assholes.
Yeah, there are certainly elements of the matchmaking that are ass. I mean, like, but there are things that you can't really get around without imposing harsher rule sets, like like against smurfing or against like you said, people diamonds queuing up with silvers.
Hmm.
Um,
But
but
going back to your
I'll,
point,
yeah.
I just wanted to say like reiterate what you were saying. The the team that wins 2 defenses in a row and then they have to go to an ass site
hmm
and then they lose it and they get super tilted, like you just have to know that certain sites are really bad and you're going to lose it more often than you're going to win it. And
Yeah, I mean,
that's just a part of the game.
well, that's less of. I mean, that's definitely something too. Like when you like, so let's say we just played Oregon, so when you have to go to the tower or to the kitchen, which are just almost impossible to defend if the attacking team knows what they're doing, even in the slightest bit.
Yeah, if they just play
But
it properly, then you can't win.
what bothers me even more than losing bad sites on defense is losing sites on attack, right? Because if you like, let's say you lose the laundry attack, like you're supposed to. People defenders go to the laundry first because it's good and it's easier to defend. Like you're supposed to lose that site. If you win it, good for you. You did a good job, but
Hmm.
it's like it's really hard to attack. Not really hard. You know, if you use your utility, obviously there's ways to win it,
Yeah, it's harder
but
to
you're not
attack
supposed
when
to.
yeah, it's harder to attack when Hibana gets banned. So like in that
Yeah,
circumstance, yeah, you kind of do just shrug it off and be like, yeah, we didn't have a Hibana, we had to use Thermite. We only got it like
or a
one,
Maverick or
maybe
whatever.
two or two hatches open at most,
hmm
and
Yeah,
then
which is what happened in our game, right? We
didn't.
went down 0-2
Hmm.
on a starting on attack. We lost. Oh no, we were on defense because my teammates. That's right, because we lost our first 2 defenses because my teammates were peaking like idiots.
Yeah.
Um, which is fine. You know, it's just for fun. But we pulled it together, made it go all 15 rounds at the end. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's that's something that upsets me when people are like on Hereford base, for instance, when you lose attack on the 3rd floor, it's like
Yeah.
that side is so decidedly defender favored
Yep.
that like even if you just get inside the building, it's like pat yourself on the back, congratulations, like you hopped in a window and didn't die immediately, good job.
Yep.
I mean, unless you really think that you're the best player in the world and just should never die.
Hmm.
Um, which with one shot headshots, like I've died to some dumb shit. I
Yeah.
mean, like hip fire cross map headshots and like just,
Through like 2 layers of wall.
yeah, people random spraying like all the way across the map, and like just shit happens.
Hmm. See, that's why we all need to agree with Pingu that one-shot headshots need to go. Did
No,
you see that?
no, I didn't. But I
Yeah,
disagree wholeheartedly.
he tweeted that he thought that headshots should only do like they should only be instant kills if they're done with like high powered like DMRs or like higher powered ARs, LMGs, etc.
I mean, what do you
Which
know what his reasoning was behind that? Because
uh,
I just disagree with that on its face.
his reasoning was he doesn't like it when he gets headshot and dies. That was
Oh,
that was about the extent of it. Is like there were more flowery words used, but that was basically the gist of it.
I mean, I can understand how the argument can be made that it lowers the skill ceiling.
Hmm.
You know, because you can literally die, like I was just saying, to just random, completely unskilled shit, or like
Yeah,
recoil headshots, or
and it definitely favors higher rate of fire weapons because you can just spray toward their head for sure.
yeah, but it. I mean, even having a higher damage multiplier on headshots than normal shots still favors high rate of fire weapons. I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Like it doesn't necessarily like it would definitely obviously change the outcome of certain fights.
oh
But
yeah, it would change that. My point is that it would fundamentally change the entire game.
yeah,
I mean, part of what makes Rainbow Six Siege so unique is the one shot headshot mechanic,
yeah, and
and the
some of
fact
the
that your life
arguments,
is very, very, very fragile.
yeah, and some of the arguments were uh you would have to control your aim better so that you can get two headshots. But
I guess.
would you really? Because
No.
if you're dealing like 70 to 90 damage with a headshot, then that's just like a headshot plus a body shot, and then you kill them. So
It's the same. It's the exact same mechanic that for people that get recoil headshots. You know, the
mhm,
recoil bounces them up to the head, while their first shot hit the body. So it literally took the exact same amount of bullets to kill them.
yeah, and it would change spawn peeking a bit because like if someone
Yeah.
tries to actually I honestly think it would advantage spawn peekers more, which Pingu says the opposite, but and I haven't really thought entirely through this, so maybe I'll change my mind as I'm speaking. But if you're spawn peeking, the only thing on your body is or the only part of your body exposed is your head. And if
Hmm.
they know that you're
If
spawn
you're good at
peeking,
it, yeah.
yeah. If they know you're spawn peeking, they'll just come over and tap you in the head and you die. But if there's only if there's two shot headshots or if there's no one shot headshots, then that gives the spawn peeker a lot more time to land their body shots because they're more likely to just go for body shots or headshots or whatever. But like the person
Mhm.
doing the spawn peeking will most likely have much more of your body in view, so they'll be able to land multiple shots or a headshot and a body shot. So I feel like it just advantages the spawn peeker more, which isn't what we need.
I think that if your aim is to reduce the viability of spawn peeking, it shouldn't start with the headshot mechanic. It should start with the map design,
Yeah, and
right? Like I think that
I don't
that's the
think they
main thing.
and I don't think Pingu is making the argument that
No,
that
no.
was the reason that they should change it. Um, but
He just doesn't like getting walled, like randomly walled from people who suck, which I understand. It's
right, and
fine.
he doesn't like getting headshot while somebody's like un-ADS'd coming around a corner and doesn't know that he's there, and then they just kind of like
Yeah.
as they're ADSing, they hit him in the head and maybe didn't deserve it, which I obviously understand because that's happened to me thousands of times.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I don't think getting rid of one-shot headshots is actually going to make the game any better.
No, I don't think so either. And like looking at back to other games that don't have a one shot, which is every other game basically.
Yeah.
Um, people eh, people don't even aim for heads anymore. Like you can, I guess, like Battlefield, it's better to aim for the head. But games like Call of Duty or um, I never played Destiny, so I don't know about that. But
Mhm.
like when I used to play Call of Duty, people didn't even aim for heads because there's no point. Like because sure the damage multiplier is higher, but you're gonna miss a lot more of your shots.
Yeah, and I think the other reason I don't like it is because I think it almost exclusively benefits defenders, or at least it benefits submachine guns, like weaker guns. Because
Yeah,
if a headshot, like if you're playing Valkyrie, obviously if you land,
headshots are her only saving grace. That gun's garbage otherwise.
yeah. So if you can land, it's easier to land like a headshot and a body shot. Well, actually, what am I even trying to say here? So if you get a random headshot with the MPX, right now you kill them.
Hmm.
And if they made it so that it wasn't one shot headshots, there would be less incentive to go for the head. Maybe it doesn't necessarily benefit defenders, but think about this. If you're on attack, you're already at like a 3-shot down anyway with like 90% of guns.
Yeah, the attacker guns are more higher powered.
Yeah, so on attack, there's almost no incentive at all to go for headshots.
Hmm.
Because you're already going to kill them in 2 with some of the more powerful guns or 3 shots.
It depends on the skill level you're playing at, but I see your point.
I just think it incentivizes play that isn't optimal. And
You're going to increase the average time to kill just globally by doing that, which some people might want, but I don't. I mean, I like, the fact that you die really fast because then you have to play careful with your life, and it increases the strategic aspect of the game, the positioning and the utility usage, as opposed to just straight up gunfights. Which, if you increase the time to kill, then you're increasing the amount of gunfights that you're going to be in, or the time that you spend in gunfights.
Yeah, and if you're trying to make the gunfights more skillful, which I don't think Siege is a game that is necessarily revolving around it, or at least it shouldn't be revolving around gun skill. It should be it should be tactics and like holding angles and like learning your lines of sight. All that stuff factors so much into it. But if you make it so that headshots don't get a one-shot kill, I think you're kind of slanting the game toward like gunfights are the most important part now, because now people have to spend more time in gunfights and they have to land more headshots in a row, which I get that is more skillful from a gunfight point of view, but it's detracting the game from what's actually great, which is the destructibility,
right?
Like reinforcements, using your utility properly.
Utility, yeah. Well, and we've talked about this before, but I think gun skill is probably the third or fourth most important aspect of the game, behind map knowledge and positioning, and utility usage, I guess. But to a certain extent, it depends on which elo you're playing at again. But yeah, I don't think gunfights are even close to being the most important aspect of the game. Sure, if you can't shoot people, then you have a problem.
Yeah, obviously.
But if you outflank your opponent, or you outposition them, or you outsmart them, then you don't have to. I mean, all you have to do is be able to hit in their general direction, and they're not even looking at you.
Yeah, and I think what it comes down to for me is that I would prefer to keep the game a super high risk, super high reward, rather than leveling everything out more. And if you take away one shot headshots, the game is inherently just less risk reward.
It is, yeah, and it's in a completely different game. Another point that I'd like to bring up is that just think about all the people that have spent hundreds and thousands of hours of Terrorist Hunt perfecting their aim. You and I both have friends that are aim gods, basically, that just shoot people in the head constantly. Imagine those people now. Their skills aren't necessarily useless. They're still really useful, but now they're just much less useful. And basically, a lot of that time that they spend, the hundreds and thousands of hours they spend in T-Hunt, which going in and out of T-Hunts is not easy, right? It's tedious because the bombers and the C4s and all the bullshit, the loading times, and rooms full of barbed wire. Like, it's not a very good training area. Like, it sucks, actually.
Yeah.
I miss the Call of Duty days where you could just set up a bot game, and I used to do that all the time. Just set up a game against bots on a certain map, and then just run around practicing my aim, and have respawn on, and I would do it for hours and hours just shooting bots. which is actually how I got decent without aim assist on console. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, it's just the terrorist hunt is not optimal for that kind of thing. It's really tedious compared to that sort of training thing.
for sure.
Uh, so all those people, all of a sudden, they just get knocked down a peg because now their amazing aim and picking off heads is no longer as viable as it used to be.
Yeah, it brings, which my initial thought to what you just said was no, it doesn't, because now they can hit 2 headshots in a row, whereas most people wouldn't be able to. But at the same time, the time to kill is now way closer between the person who just goes for body shots and the person who goes for headshots. Like
Right.
because now your time to kill is now 2 headshots with every single gun, whereas the person who's just going for body shots because their aim isn't that good is gonna deal a lot more damage to the person who just got the headshot first, but it didn't kill them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's I don't know, there's an argument to be said for both ways, but I just think I like the game being high risk, high reward. But like if I wanted a low risk, low reward game, I would just go play Overwatch.
Yeah, exactly. Or like Fortnite or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, well, I guess, I guess we went from the theory of banning all the way to talking about the risk reward of one shot headshots. But I don't know. Was there anything else you wanted to say about banning? Because I feel like there's a lot
um,
more that we didn't get to.
we basically just skipped over it. Banning. I mean, first of all, I love it. I love the SI playlist for the banning.
Hmm.
I think that having Lion still in the game as he currently is sort of skews the banning a bit, like just like it did
Yeah.
in Pro League, because teams just auto ban Lion. It doesn't allow you the sort of flexibility to ban the operators that you really want to, because you
Yeah.
just can't deal with Lion. I think that at the lower elos, Lion's less of a big deal because it takes a certain amount of coordination to use his gadget properly.
And at the higher
But
elos, I feel like a lot of people have respect for each other and just don't pick him, even if he's not banned.
yeah, there's definitely, and this was a point I made on, I think, a Get Flanked video. I left a comment detailing this exact, which golf clap for me. I'm sure it did a lot to do that. Um, but yeah, I pointed out the fact that in those graphs where they show the pick rate and win delta of the operators, it's from Platinum and Diamond. And Platinum and Diamond players have a gentleman's agreement, or a common understanding that there are certain operators that you just don't play.
Yeah.
And if you do play them, you're going to get a lot of shit talked your way. Like if you bring a Lion or a Blackbeard. And the list is actually pretty extensive, which is not healthy for the game. The fact that there's a list of like 6 or 8 operators that you just can't play on attack, or else you're going to be called a shitter.
Yeah.
Like
And
a
then you're
push
gonna have them.
button win round.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have them played on you.
And then it's just going to be cancer. The whole match is just going to be cancer.
Yeah.
And we can list them all. It's like Lion, Glaz is one of them. Ying, Blitz, any shields, Blitz, Montaigne,
Hmm.
Montaigne to a lesser degree, I think, but still, like if you bring them on, people are gonna be like, "Really, dude, bring in a shield?"
Yeah. I think.
Dokkaebi,
Yeah.
can't play her. You play Dokkaebi, people are like, "Fuck you,"
Yeah.
and then they just bring Dokkaebi every round, and
I
it's
think
just a
there's I
terrible
think there's
nightmare.
only like 3 of them, which are Blackbeard, Lion, and Blitz. I think those are the 3 where everybody's just like, "Eat dicks, you asshole!" like when you play
Yeah,
them.
those are the
The
big three for sure.
the rest of those that you listed are definitely frustrating, and like I want to meet the person in real life so I can tell them to their face how much I hate them, but
Yeah,
but I think I'm a bit of an outlier on that. I think most people are more okay with like Glaz and Dokkaebi, but
I don't think so, man.
really,
Most ranked games I play, like if you bring a Glaz and the person dies to the Glaz, their
hmm,
death is no longer valid. They don't think that they got outskilled. They say, "Oh, I died to Glaz. Like there was nothing I could have done."
yeah,
Um, or like Dokkaebi, if you're bringing like she's less viable now that her SMG 12 got nerfed, but um, yeah, like if you're like, let's say it's the first round of a game, you're on defense, and then all of a sudden your phone starts going off. What's the first thing you do? You roll your eyes. You go, "Fuck, man, this really the person brought a Dokkaebi? Are you kidding me?"
hmm,
That's
yeah,
the initial reaction.
yeah. I thought maybe I was more of an outlier than I actually am. Because yeah, it tilts me into oblivion when round one my phone starts ringing and I'm just like, oh god, I hate these people.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's much worse. Like you hear a blitz, or the lion thing goes off, and literally everyone just opens up their chat and goes, "Fuck you!" like,
Mhm.
um, or you hear Blackbeard's DMR going off. You're like, "Man, are you kidding? Like these guys really bearded me on the first round."
Yeah.
Um, and it turns the whole game into like who can bring the most cancer. Then you got lineups like Glaz, Dokkaebi, Lion, Finka, Blitz,
Mhm.
and you're just like,
Yeah, the game's
this
not.
is the worst lineup possible.
Yeah, it's like the game's not even fun anymore at that point,
No,
which is
and
why
it's
bans are
it's
so necessary because it gets rid
yeah.
of at least a little bit of that, and then
Hmm.
people don't feel so cheated when like one or two of those cancer ops get played. Like
Yeah, and that's the point.
if I got to ban the the Blitz or the Blackbeard or the Lion, I don't care so much when my phone starts ringing because I'm like, at
Right.
least I'm not about to get Lion scanned also.
Well, and it just gives players that sense of control, right? So I think it's less even about the game itself than just giving people a choice,
Hmm.
um, which is the most important part of it. And I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say? Oh, that's like you were saying, how they don't feel cheated because not only does it become not fun at that point, it becomes not legitimate.
Hmm.
So you don't even care about a loss because you're like, I literally got cheated. Like the people played the most cancerous ops, and I don't care. Losing this game means nothing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, which
And
that's.
so you just write it off as a whatever, as just a
Hmm.
cancer game, nothing I could have done. It's almost like going up against actual cheaters.
Yeah,
You
and it.
just shrug and go, okay, I'll get them next time, I guess.
Yeah, and it makes you not want to analyze what you actually did wrong because let's be honest, like if they do run like Lion Dokkaebi, Finka Blitz, Blackbeard every single round and you lose
Hmm.
to it, you could have done something better to beat them
Yeah,
because that's not a great lineup. Like in all
no,
fairness, it's not a very good lineup.
no,
But when you lose to it, it feels so illegitimate that you don't even want to consider what you could have done better. And I think giving people the ability to at least ban a little bit of that out of the game
mhm,
will allow people to like think harder about why they lost and think harder about maybe I should have banned somebody different and we could play around like these like subset of operators rather than try to play around these ones. We'll ban different ones and like
right.
work around it differently, and
Yeah,
it
and
makes
there
people think
are
about the game harder.
absolutely, and there are a lot of maps that differ drastically depending on which bans go down. Like the Clubhouse, if you don't ban a Maverick, it completely changes how you play.
Hmm.
Um, or like a mirror ban on any map. Mirror being in play completely changes
Yeah.
which sites are viable and which ones aren't.
Yeah, which I want to get my quick blurb out because it's something I've been hammering on for a couple weeks.
Hmm.
If you ban Mira on Coastline,
Hmm.
don't go
Goodbye,
Penthouse.
Penthouse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't go to Penthouse. It's not good anymore. Like learn the other sites and play those. Like
right. Which is what like last time we played Coastline. That's exactly what we did.
yeah, like
Is
I will.
Mira got banned by the other team. We didn't
Hmm.
even ban her because I
Yeah,
love
and
playing Mira. Like I'm a Mira main.
and
Single teardrop.
if I play Coastline, I'm gonna ban Mira every single time because I know that the defenders will still try to go Penthouse.
And just lose it every time.
Yeah, because it's borderline indefensible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely like Coastline. Mira's banned. First of all, even if Mira's not banned, you shouldn't be going to Penthouse. Uh, but you can
Yeah.
if she's in play. If she's not in play, just don't. Just
Hmm.
don't. Go to Kitchen. Go to Hookah. Hookah's not great either, but
I think.
I like playing Hookah with Castle
Hmm.
because that strat's easy to work around, and a lot of the attackers, some of the lower skilled attacking teams don't really know how to play around that.
Hmm.
Higher skilled teams, it's really hard because then they just take Aqua and plant default and goodbye.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are still stuck on getting into hookah and planting hookah.
Oh God, I hate that, dude. Take Aqua. Come on.
Yeah, like pick Glass, go to Aquarium, and then just win.
Yeah, and then just win. And Coastline is my Zofia map. That's the map where I always play Zofia on attack because she's just so useful on that map.
Yeah, she's powerful there for a few reasons, and like Maestro's pick rate is one of them.
Maestro is another. I don't like to ban Maestro because I like to play. Like I'm a support, I'm a support main, so I play the Mira Maestro.
Hmm.
I should say Echo, but I'm a terrible Echo. I need to get better. But
Yeah.
going back to your banning theory, I think you said there are two, right? You ban just sort of whatever you don't like,
Yeah, frustrating
or
stuff or things you don't
frustrating stuff,
like to play
or
against.
yeah, things you don't like to play against, or you can like counter ban, like you know what to ban, or basically like the difference in skill between a certain player on a certain operator is better than your team.
Hmm.
But I think that there's a third um, theory of banning, and that's operators that just nobody on your team knows how to play, and you just don't want to deal with it, which is kind of tied into the second thing about people on the other team being better than you.
Yeah.
But in ranked, going up against random teams, like you just don't know. Like you don't know who's good at what. So like we'll ban stuff that, um, which obviously it's not ranked, but you know what I mean. Like playing like a competitive team,
Hmm.
um, or playing in like a scrim or something. But like there are certain team compositions that we have where nobody knows how to play Echo, or no, we don't have a good shield player on attack, or don't have a good like nobody's really comfortable with Legion, which I just pulled something out of my ass because everybody knows Legion's the best defender. I would say Maestro is probably the best defender in the game right now, but Legion's definitely like top three.
Yeah, agreed. I think Legion
Um,
needs to catch a ban ASAP.
a nerf, you mean?
Both. But yeah, I meant to say nerf. But now that I
Yeah,
think about it, both. He needs a ban and he needs a nerf.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No, he's gonna get a nerf. I mean, he just got a nerf to the damage of his gun, which I think was dumb.
yeah.
Uh,
Did you
I
see his pick rate and win delta on the chart? He's like
yeah,
he's so far out of bounds, and people are
yeah.
still not up in arms about it because people don't
Eh.
realize just how effective he is. They don't like when they step on a goo mine, they're like, "Oh, I didn't die from it, so I guess he's fine." Like,
Well, and in lower elos, he's not as competitive or as overpowered because one of the best abilities that he has is the fact that you can't plant a diffuser if you have a goo mine in your foot. So if
hmm.
you're alive to the very end, or if your goo mines are so strategically placed that at the end of the round, the attackers hit goo mines when they're pushing the site at the very last minute, like,
Hmm.
but that sort of thing only happens in matches that are more competitive.
Yeah, and yeah, it definitely only happens in bomb, which just so happens to be what most like
Well,
platinums and diamonds play.
yeah, to be fair, I forgot that the other other game modes even existed. Like, I haven't played Secure Area in like 2 years.
I forgot that they existed until yesterday when my game lost
Your
all my
settings got
settings
reset.
and
Yeah,
I had to play secure area, and it was the worst experience of my life.
it's so bad. And Hostage is even worse. Like Hostage is just awful.
I don't know. I would almost rather play hostage just because then people don't necessarily just like chuck grenades and I don't know. They don't go quite as ham because they know that there's a bit of a risk of accidentally shooting the hostage. So
Hmm.
like you get people walking in a little bit more measured. But
I guess, but it's
in
so
secure
attacker favored.
yeah, in secure area it's just a free for all. You just throw everything you have into the site and then you run in and kill everybody, and
Mhm.
then you just sit there and wait for the defenders to run back in.
Yeah, Secure Area is bad. I mean, a lot of people ask, like in the comments, on or in the chat when Pro League is going on, like, why do they only play Bomb? It's
Hmm.
like, well, it's the only even relatively balanced game mode that there is.
Hmm.
There are ways that you could like adjust Secure Area to make it more balanced, I guess, but why even bother? I mean, pretty much every esport that exists, they only play one game mode anyway.
Right.
Like it was cool going back again to Call of Duty because I'm an ex Call of Duty player, but not pro, right? Don't get it twisted, but they used to play their competitive matches were multiple game modes, right? You'd play like Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, and Capture the Flag. Where like,
Hmm.
and there was another one, but you'd play those three for sure.
Yeah.
But in each of those game modes, they're balanced because the maps inherently are balanced left to right, or um,
Hmm.
in
And
a symmetrical fashion. It's 3 lanes typically. They're fairly symmetrical. Like
yeah, and
so, it's
you can get
it more
away.
depends on gun skill.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot more game modes in any game where there's respawning as well.
Respawns,
That's
yeah,
why
exactly.
that's why Call of Duty works just fine when you're playing like capture the flag, or if you're playing like capture the flag just can't work in siege because there's no respawns. Like it wouldn't.
Yeah,
It would just be hostage. Like
it's just TDM. Yeah,
yeah,
capture. It is. Hostage is capture the flag essentially,
yeah,
except that the defenders camp the flag. But
right.
um, not to say that there's camping in siege, because yeah, a completely separate point. Anybody complaining about camping in siege is an idiot, because
Yes.
there's no such thing. It's completely viable to
Mhm.
sit in a corner and wait for somebody to walk by you because of the droning mechanic, right? That's
Mhm.
without if you're not droning the enemy team, then you're throwing essentially.
Yeah, if you die to a camping defender and then get upset that they were camping, like that's
It's
idiotic.
100% your fault. It's
Yeah.
100% your fault. Um, anyway, sorry. I just wanted to uh, give my opinion on that aspect of banning, because we like I said, most of the time we don't have a good echo, so we just ban echo because we know that nobody on our team is good at it.
Yeah, nobody
And
necessarily wants to play it. Yeah, we don't necessarily play that style. But if you do play that style, then you should ban somebody else.
yeah, absolutely, I need to get better with echo anyway, but
Mhm.
like I'm getting good with Maestro. I'm
Yeah.
feeling pretty good
Oh,
about it. It's
and
not
actually,
hard to be good with Maestro.
yeah, a third point I wanted to bring up uh about banning was just reading into what your opponent's banned,
Mm.
uh,
Yeah.
and then banning accordingly. So the one example I can come up with, because it's one that happened, I'm sure there are others, was we were playing Oregon.
Thatcher ban.
Yeah, and the opponents banned
Yeah,
Thatcher.
that's a huge red flag. That's like,
Yeah,
what up?
yeah, which means like obviously they're gonna run Kaid and just deny the hatches, and there's just no way we're
Hmm.
ever gonna get down there. As long as anybody is playing at the bottom of the lobby stairs, you're
Hmm.
just never gonna get a Twitch drone down there in order to shoot the Kaid thing. And they can throw it,
Uh,
and they can throw it in such a way that it's hidden from the stairs. So like there's no way you're
yeah,
gonna get it. Period. Like,
you can try with Maverick, but it's tough, and you're exposed for a long time.
hmm yeah, there's like very few instances where you can actually get
Well, but those
a
are
line of
reads you have
sight
to
on
make
that.
on the fly, which it's just extra brain space. Like if somebody bans a Thatcher, it's like, what? I'm banning Kaid now.
Yeah,
Um, or mute, I guess, would be decent.
yeah. I think I ban Kaid in that situation
Yeah, oh yeah.
just because I know that if I don't ban Kaid, several rounds will probably be decided just by like blind luck. Like, did we happen to get lucky with a gunfight that we were forced into because we couldn't get a hatch open?
Hmm.
Or were they forced into a blind fight because they couldn't get a hatch open, and I just like have to take some random fight?
Well, on Oregon specifically, with the laundry defense, like you're only getting, if there's a Kaid, you're only getting one hatch, right?
Hmm
Unless you can, like I said, use the Maverick in such a way as to get rid of it without dying to being peaked or a C4 or getting flanked or something.
Right.
Um, but that means, I mean, you just have to play really careful around your Maverick at that point. Uh,
hmm
and that's also kind of assuming, I mean, that's assuming also kind of a Hibana ban, but I guess it's not even necessary.
Yeah.
Bring
And
Maverick
actually,
Hibana.
as we sit here talking about this exact situation, I think next time we play Oregon, we should actually ban Thatcher and then not ban Kaid, because I think I just thought of a way around it that other teams won't. So,
Well, I mean, we've been running the no Kaid, Nomad,
hmm
Lion,
yeah,
meta. So
yeah, true. We've
yeah, if
for
you
the
want to
most
let him
part,
in, dude, we can let him in. I'm sure that there are plenty of people on my squad that would like to be playing Kaid and Nomad.
yeah, and also for like the SI playlist, I think
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
opportunities there. So
There, yeah,
I
there was
think
a
what
game
you
that we
do,
played on the SI playlist where Thatcher was banned,
hmm
um, and then Kaid got banned, and it was a really really weird game.
yeah,
I think it was on console.
huh,
Maybe it was Oregon. I don't know, but it was a weird ass game with a Thatcher ban. Thatcher, that's another point for maybe a different episode. But Thatcher is just he's kind of overworked. The man he's the oldest operator in the game. Give him some slack. Like he's doing so much work right now.
yeah, and I think actually learning strategies that don't involve Thatcher. Uh, Actually, I think in general, Thatcher ban just kind of benefits the team that has more map knowledge.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
in general you can just go above or below, or like the example I was thinking of on Oregon, if you ban Thatcher and then don't ban Kaid, if they stick a
Mhm,
Kaid Electroclaw up on that hatch that you can't see
mhm.
from the lobby stairs,
Yeah,
you just chuck a grenade over to the laundry, like the sink table thing, and it
yeah.
should probably destroy the Electroclaw. I don't know that for sure. We need to test it. But if it
That's a tough
does,
grenade, though.
I think you can just chuck it like through the bars at the bottom of the stairs. I think you just throw it over under the hatch, basically. I want to say it's
Yeah.
that simple, but I don't know for sure. We'll test it.
Well, the radius isn't good enough to if it like lands on the floor, right? It has to land on the desk or on the shelf or sorry, table thing.
I want to say you can just throw it to the front of the desk on the floor.
I don't think so,
I
man.
think it might get rid of it, but
I don't
I
think the range is that high.
hmm, we'll go into a custom game and test that
I
out.
mean, you could like Zofia it, right? If you burn any ADSs and get Zofia to the bottom of the stairs without getting peeked.
Oh yeah,
Good luck.
you could probably
And
just
you could arc a Zofia up into the bottom of the hatch, probably.
well, you can probably
Um,
just shoot it at the top of the table and get rid of it.
well, if it's like stuck to the wall, right, around the corner, like closer to the bomb under the hatch,
Yeah.
then that's a tough one. But that Maverick can get that. But this
Hmm.
it's just the amount of options that you have to go through, and these are in the game, like in game calls on the fly that you have to make
Hmm.
with drone information, and hopefully people aren't dead. Like if your Maverick dies, okay, good luck. If your Zofia dies, well, I guess that's a rip on that strat. Like
Yeah.
I guess we're just playing for picks now.
Yeah,
Um,
this is why just communication in general is so important in the game, because there's so many situations where you
and
might end
speed.
up just needing a certain operator. Like you might not think that you need, like Ash is one of those operators where you just think Ash, they'll just go do whatever they want, like they're just
Mhm.
there to frag. But like there's a lot of situations where you're just like, I really need an Ash right now.
I disagree. I think that Ash, that her utility is 100% usurped by Zofia. I think that Zofia has superior utility to Ash. I think that the only reason that people play Ash over Zofia is because A, they're more comfortable with her, because everybody T hunts with Ash and
Hmm.
not Zofia, and also she's just a better fragger. But I think in terms of utility, I think that Zofia is a much better choice. I would rather see a Zofia than an Ash 100% of the time.
I would have agreed with you back when she still had three.
Three or four
Yeah,
stuns.
yeah. When she had four for sure. When she had three, I'd probably agree with you. But now Ash just has even if well, here's the stipulation. If you don't need Zophia's Claymore, then I think you can just take Ash because
I mean, Ash,
she has three flashbangs, so she can drain more ADSs,
true,
and she has just better guns and
but her
faster.
flashbangs are not as good as uh,
The concussion.
Grismont lines. Yeah, because
Mm,
the concussions, you can't sprint. You're slowed, right? You're slowed down. You can't hear. You can barely see. Like you can still aim, sort of, if you get comfortable with the dual vision thing. But like you're in a bad place. Like a flashbang, almost never ever do I die because I was flashed.
yeah, I agree. I just don't think that. I think they're mostly just used to burn ADSs anyway.
Yeah,
So I
I
think
agree.
having like 2+1 flashbangs is better than just having two concussions, because they're probably just going to use get to burn an ADS anyway.
I would agree with you, but I also think that using Zophia's charges to burn ADSs is just poor management of utility. I think that's a last resort. I think that if you have an ADS you need burned, then
Just bring somebody else to do
somebody
it.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like for one thing, you can Thatcher those but if Thatcher's banned, uh, Capital has flashbangs, or
Thermite has flashbangs.
Thermite has flashbangs. If you don't bring a Claymore, which
Yeah. Hibana.
is uncommon, I think. Yeah, Hibana flashbangs perfect because Hibana otherwise has breaching charges, which
Hmm.
is nobody brings. So,
Yeah.
but that's another one of those in-game communication things that are um, definitely almost never seen on random teams like solo queue teams.
Right.
And then even on like actual like 4 or 5 stacks, that's still some advanced stuff.
yeah, and the whole point I was bringing up when I said that, like, man, I just really need an Ashe right now, that
Yeah.
kind of launched us into that whole discussion. Zofia fits that exact same bill too. It's like every once in a while you're just like, oh, I really need Ashe to come here and destroy this evil eye, or I really need Ashe to
Mhm.
come here and destroy this castle barricade,
Castle
or
barricade,
whatever it
yeah.
may be, or like to get rid of
The
the
soft
shield.
wall. Hmm.
Um, so like Zofia fits exactly in the same situation. I was more or less making
Hmm.
the point that like there's a, a fairly non-trivial number of times where there's like some device that's way over there that you just really need to get rid of, but
Hmm.
the only people who could possibly do it would be Ashe or Zofia.
Right.
And you commonly just think of Ashe as the I'm gonna run in and go kill somebody operator, but like if you're playing Ashe, like you have a lot of capability to
Yeah.
have a much larger effect other than just getting 5 kills.
Right. Well, and um, I think that a lot of people consider Zofia a side grade to Ashe, which um, obviously that's the point that we were just making is that you can bring either. I just personally I would rather see Zofia because uh, I put more value in the utility side of things than the fragging side of things, I guess.
Hmm. Which
Um,
in this meta is questionable, but yeah, I totally
that's
understand
true.
your point.
That's true. This meta is hurting my soul. Um,
Yeah, I do think they're
I
very evenly matched at this point.
I'm actually really excited to see the group stages at the Invitational because with the 2 weeks that Pro League teams have off to prepare and to settle down and to get some sleep,
Hmm.
like Team Secret, for instance, they straight up admitted to just being exhausted, which I'm sure all the teams are exhausted. It's more of a trial by fire than I guess it's more of a trial of attrition
Hmm.
or endurance than any and than actual skill. Which teams can play highly competitive games twice a week, every week for like 2 months or however long. I don't even know how long it's been going on because it's just so much. I finally got caught up with
Hmm.
all the Pro League matches this season,
Yeah, I've just
just like
resigned to the
yesterday.
fact that I'm never gonna get caught up. So,
Dude, it's hard. It's so much YouTube watching.
hmm.
Like I'll put it on like on my second monitor and just like listen to it while I'm tea hunting or
Hmm.
editing videos or whatever. It's just
Yeah, I listen to podcasts all day at work
yeah.
because I drive all day. But if
Hmm.
I just like I kind of just want to get an office job so I can just watch. Um, would you like to go into Down but Not Out?
Then yeah, so we have a segment or an idea for a segment. It's called Down but Not Out. These are issues with the game that have been around for a long time and just haven't quite gotten fixed yet. Um,
Or sometimes they're also issues that have been around, but they're actually not issues that people just won't let die.
that too.
The,
Yeah, both
and
of the things.
and that's more the focus of the two that I had for today. Um, so first one, giving recruit anything, like letting recruits add uh, sights or muzzle attachments, uh, letting them put charms on their guns, giving him different skins or like outfits or whatever. Just stop. He doesn't need anything. He shouldn't
I,
even be in the game.
yeah, I completely agree. I don't even know why recruits are still in the game. I mean,
Like anything that gives me more incentive, or actually I'm not gonna play him regardless. I don't care what you give him, but
no.
anything that gives other people, other degenerates, more incentive to play recruit for the lulls doesn't need to be in the game.
No, absolutely. I even for the lulls, like the whole game, right, is about strategy and utility, and then you have this thing that's just like anti all of that. Like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna play recruit shot. Like everybody, like it can be fun in casual to play like all recruit shotguns or something,
Hmm.
but yeah, they don't need anything at all.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just hoping for the day that they take recruit out of the game because eventually every single person who's playing should just have all the base operators the moment they turn the game on the very first time.
Yeah, at a certain point, yeah, I agree.
And I think at this point only the people who buy starter edition don't.
Yeah, I mean, when I switched to PC, I bought the complete edition when it was on sale,
Hmm.
and I was already, I already had hundreds of hours on the game on console. I didn't want to go through the hassle of grinding out all the operators. So
Yeah, and at this point, anybody
yeah,
who buys the standard edition gets all the base
also
operators
gets yeah.
from the beginning. So,
Mhm.
like the moment they change the starter edition to either give you more operators off the bat or just get rid of it because it's a terrible waste of
Yeah, the
money.
starter edition sucks.
Like, just get rid of it and then get rid of recruit because we don't need him. He doesn't need
I
to
think this
exist.
the starter edition is good to like get people into the game that otherwise probably wouldn't have.
Hmm.
I'm sure there are a lot of people who, if the game was $30 or $40, just would have skipped it.
Hmm.
But instead, it was $15. They're like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. Or on a
Yeah.
Steam sale when it's like $6 or something.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm glad for that. But yeah, at a certain point, I agree that the starter edition either give you all the base operators for free, because there are so many DLC operators to unlock that
Yeah.
it's the same grind as it used to be,
Hmm.
or just get rid of it. Uh, and yeah, recruits, get rid of recruits. I don't even care. It doesn't affect me at all. I haven't played a recruit in a year, so
Yeah. Recruit is only there for the lulz at this point.
which is fine. In casual, I
Yeah, I guess
if you're
maybe
gonna keep
maybe
recruits in the game, just limit it to casual.
yeah, I'd be
I would
fine with
say
that.
if
And
you're solo queuing ranked and you pick recruit, like I'm gonna vote kick you like immediately.
yeah,
I take
so
my elo super seriously.
exactly. So yeah, giving recruit anything, down but not out. Just fucking finish him off. Another down but not out. Uh, the whole concept that secondary weapons shouldn't be good, or that secondary weapons shouldn't be good enough to be used as primaries.
Dude, put my SMG 12 ace. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, I totally understand the idea of it. I get that you shouldn't have, like, I don't think Vigil should exist in the way that he exists, where he has two extremely good guns, and I think that's probably half the reason they nerfed the SMG-12.
Yeah.
Um, and at this point, he does have a primary and a secondary that's not that great.
I'm
It's
I'm
still
fine.
good, and it's probably a little too good, but on him it's okay because the entire point of his kit is to like evade and then kill people.
Yeah, I mean, I think on Vigil it's a little bit too strong. I'm fine with it on Dokkaebi because a lot of people aren't good with DMRs,
Hmm.
so I'm fine with her kit. Honestly, I think Dokkaebi's a little underpowered on the weapons side because of the DMR and the SMG 12 combo.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think she's great, but having smokes kind of balances it out, and
Yeah, smokes are a massive utility. They're huge, and her
so
stupid phone calls.
yeah, I think the reason I bring this idea up at all is just because back when the SMG-11 got a huge nerf,
Hmm.
people were just saying like smoke
Well,
shouldn't
good.
have a good SMG-11 because the SMG-11 is basically used as his primary, but it's a secondary, therefore it shouldn't be good. Like, it's just a slot in the game. Just because that slot is usually taken up by a pistol doesn't mean it has to on every single operator. Like, balance
Right.
the game around primaries and secondaries, give each operator options. Like, I'm not saying every operator needs to have the option of an SMG. I'm saying balance it. Like, Smoke having an SMG-11 and then having a shotgun that he can use to like reform the site however you want it to do is
Yeah.
balanced. You shouldn't be advocating to nerf the SMG-11 just because it's a secondary. That's a terrible argument.
I would agree. I think that some rebalancing could occur, like they gave Mute the SMG 11, right? So he can run the SMG 11 shotgun combo like
Hmm.
Smoke, and now Mute's pick rate is surged.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not because the SMG 11 is an overpowered gun. I mean, I don't even think it was overpowered before. Um,
Yeah,
Not going all the way back to when it had an ACOG and whatever. Like
right.
that was overpowered. But
Yeah,
just before this most recent nerf, I think that it was perfectly fine. But they nerfed all of the secondary machine guns
hmm
in an effort to curb the Dokubi's reign of terror and Vigil, with the SMG-12, which is
Yeah.
fine. But I don't think that needed to apply to the SMG-11. I think it was fine. And the Bearing 9, I used to be a Hibana. I love Hibana. Like, she's one of my favorite operators, most played operators. I think she has fantastic utility. She's a decent fragger. She used to be a lot better. But to me, back when I was a Hibana main, I was like, when I was outside the building, it was Type 89. When I was inside the building, it was Bearing 9.
hmm
And that's my switch, and I have a lot of clips from back then of just me shredding people with the Bearing 9. But to me that was because the Type 89 sucks. Like,
Uh-huh.
it caught so many. First of all, it has a 20+1 magazine, which is one of the lowest magazines in the game.
Right.
And then add to that the fact that it has a lot of recoil. Like, it's relatively controllable, but it has a lot more recoil than, like, say, the R4C, for
Correct.
instance.
Yeah.
Which has seen not as many nerfs
hmm
and not as severe nerfs, I don't think. Like if you switched, nah, don't do that. Don't switch Hibana and Ash's primaries, because then Hibana becomes like the best attacker in the world.
Yeah.
But with the Type 89 the way it is, I hate the way the Bearing 9 is, because the Type 89 runs out of bullets after like 1 or 2 gunfights, and then you switch to the Bearing 9 and it just flies to the ceiling.
Yeah, you have to play a certain way in order to make it work. Like, you have to play a little more reserved, because you can't just rely on the Bearing 9 to, like, pull you out of any situation you get into.
Yeah, you definitely have to. You almost have to treat the Type 89 like a DMR. Not really, but it's definitely, you're not dumping half a mag at somebody. Like, you're burst firing essentially.
Yeah, and if you are going full auto and spraying somebody down, like, you have to know for sure that you have a place to fall back to where the Bearing 9 will be acceptable. Like,
or you have time to reload.
Yeah, so you need to,
because you're gonna reload.
Yeah, because before you could just, like, spray your entire Type 89 mag and then just switch to the Bearing 9, and, like, as long as they weren't a football field away, you were probably fine.
Oh yeah, I have some long range clips with the Bearing 9. But that was obviously before the nerf. But yeah, I think that the point that secondary weapons should be quote unquote secondary is just false on its face. For the reason that shotguns are, like, primary shotguns are a thing.
hmm
Like, imagine if Smoke only had like a shotgun and a pistol as a secondary.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to just you wouldn't be able to play him. Like, you'd have to use the FMG9.
You'd be playing the FMG9. Like, everybody would. That would be the meta. It's like with Mute before he caught his SMG-11.
And you would just have to choose more impact grenades, probably. Like, you'd have to play the game an entirely different way. Like, who are you going to bring a shotgun on? Other than, like, Mira is, like, until Mira came out, like, you would just have no options. You'd either have to play
Mute
somebody
was
with
the
a
only shotgun.
Yeah, you just have to play Mute or Smoke with a shotgun and then have the pistol if they didn't have the SMG-11.
Which you can do. I mean, Kyler, for instance, the person that we play with, liked to play Mute shotgun before he got the SMG-11. He would just play the pistol. But he has some of the best aim of anybody that I know. So
yeah, and it worked because he was so much better than he was so much better aiming than most of the people we played against. So
well, he played it correctly, right? He would play at the bottom of staircases, and he'd play close. Like, so you have to play it that way.
Yeah, or like on Oregon, he'd just, like, play at the top of white stairs. Totally viable. You just wait for somebody to come up the stairs and pop them in the face.
Well, and it's like with Maestro, right? His 2 secondary pistols, one of them is a shotgun, and the other one is like basically a DMR. Like, the Keratos has the highest DPS of any gun in the entire game, but nobody really ever brings it, because you bring the Bailiff so that you can SimCity site construct, to make rotations and clean up other rotations or whatever, open hatches.
Yeah, and I think there is some argument to on attack where you can say having a secondary that's too good is a bad thing, because on attack you're not bringing a shotgun anyway. So there's,
for the most part, unless you're memeing, but yeah.
Yeah, there's really no, like, you're not gonna play Sledge with shotgun SMG-11 because that just
Right.
doesn't make sense. So him having the L85 and the SMG-11, I can understand that.
I agree. Yeah, but I think that the balance for that would just be to take it away from him and not to nerf the gun.
Right. Exactly.
But
Because
like for Hibana, like nobody brings Supernova bearing 9, right?
hmm Yeah, like can you
So
imagine if Smoke had L85?
oh
Like
my
just
god.
just think of that situation. He would be running L85 and SMG-11 every time, and then you have an argument where like the SMG-11 is too good. But again, like you said, the solution to that isn't to nerf the SMG-11. It's just take it away from that person.
hmm Yeah, I think that the whole secondary weapons being viable as primaries is I think it's actually a really interesting mechanic for the game. I think it allows more flexibility. Like as a smoke, for instance, you can bring the FMG9 and the SMG11 if you want.
hmm
Um,
Yeah, and I think what people get fixed on too much is that it's the primary slot and the secondary slot. It's not
yeah,
primary and secondary. It's just slot one and slot two, and these are the options you get for slot one, and these are the options you get for slot two.
I mean
And
they're
then as
labeled primary and secondary, but
yeah, but like it, there's that's only nominal. Like it doesn't
yeah,
mean anything other than these are the words that we affix to it.
hmm
So as long as you just balance the options for slot one and the options for slot two, as long as those things are balanced, then you're golden.
hmm
And
I don't even think that like specifically with the SMG11, I don't think people would argue that Sledge is overpowered by having both. I mean,
hmm
I I don't see an issue with it really. I mean,
yeah, I
Sledge
think
is
if
one
you
of the most
put
balanced operators in the entire game. I think.
agreed, I think if you put the SMG-11 on a three speed, like if you give it to Ash
Oh God.
or even like Maverick, if you gave SMG-11 to someone who was already a fragger, or I guess Sledge kind of is, but like
He kind of is.
L85 isn't amazing, so take that as what you will. Like the L85 is not the R4C, so
No.
so you can't give Ash the SMG-11 obviously, but that's why she doesn't have it as an option. Like
Mhm.
it's all balanced, perfectly balanced as all things should be.
I think fuck off. um, I think that they're also just going to the speeds of operators. Like I think that there should be a lot more three armor one speeds in the game. Like I understand that it's not fun to play, but if
hmm
you just like look at the sheer amount of three speeds that there are in the game, of
hmm
course it's going to lead to a more like aggressive fraggy play style. I mean, how many one speeds can you even bring on attack? Two, right? That's like
Well,
the most
and
number possible.
oh wait, yeah, I forgot Blitz isn't a one speed
No,
anymore.
Blitz is a
Yeah,
two speed.
yeah, it's just Fuse and Montaigne.
Fuse and Montaigne. That's it. Everyone else is either a 2-2 or a three speed,
hmm
which is crazy. And on attack, it's like I mean, I understand the dynamic that you're attacking, you're being the aggressor, like you have to get to places quickly and rotate quickly. And on defense, you don't. You're more hunkered down, sort of. You know, the amount of three armors on defense is a lot higher.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and there's a lot more explosive damage to soak up usually on defense. Like there's nades getting thrown at you, there's ash charges, so like a lot of that kind of splash damage effect helps out on defense more than it would on attack.
mhm. That which is a good point, but I just like I don't think that people can complain about the fast speed of the meta when the game is biased that way. I mean,
hmm
you know, you like I said, there are only two one speeds on attack,
Yeah.
where uh
And I think
I
it's kind of silly and absurd that Fuse is one of those because he's of all the operators that need to get somewhere in order to be effective, Fuse is like pretty high on that list. Like
I think
he's got to get inside and he's got to get to that window or he's got to do a lot of moving around and he just can't do it in his current state. Just get rid
I
of his
think that
shield, make him a 2/2 and he might
yeah,
be
that's
somewhat
part of it.
viable.
The fact that he has a shield, right? All the shields used to be uh one speeds, right?
Mhm.
And then they changed Blitz, which we all hate.
Yep.
Basically everyone except for Blitz mains.
Mhm.
Um, everybody hates it. So take away his shield. I think that Fuse's gadget used to be a lot more powerful as well.
Yeah, because the pucks were way less predictable.
Yeah, they're way less predictable. Players were not accustomed to playing around. Like you know, in the early days, Fuse used to get a lot of kills, or more kills than he does now anyway, because nobody plays him.
Yeah, and you
But
even saw Fuse played in Pro League a
yeah,
reasonable amount of
exactly.
the time.
Yeah. And he's still okay for like clearing out utility and stuff, but like if you actually get a kill with him in any kind of competitive environment, then like the other team is bots. Like they basically just don't know how to play because it's really easy to avoid.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and there's almost no balancing that factor, at least the randomness of the pucks, because either you make the pucks super random and bounce all over the place like they used to,
oh God.
which everybody hated. It was totally just
Yeah.
like, am I gonna get a kill? Let's flip a coin. Oh, I got heads. The puck magically flew across the room and
Let's
killed that
flip
guy in the
five
corner.
coins. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's that, which is really frustrating to play against, and
Yep.
then there's the current state where it's really predictable. You can use it to get rid of utility really easily because you know where all of your pucks are going to land,
Mhm.
but you're almost never going to get a kill with it because it's too predictable.
It's predictable, yeah. And I mean, it can be sort of confusing for newer players to play Fuse because the pucks, they fan out from left to right from where you stick it, right?
Right.
But a lot of people like it requires that bit of map knowledge to know what's underneath you or in front of you if you're putting it on like a wall or
Right.
something. You have to know like if it's in a hallway, like which way is the hallway going? Is it north south? Is it east west? Like what is this? How is this room oriented? Whatever.
Yeah.
But
and
it's not good for anything more than that. Just like clear ADSs, clear barbed wire.
Yeah, and it also makes way too much noise. So there's no surprising someone who's like near a window.
No.
Like if you try to put a fuse charge on a window, you're probably just gonna get shot. Like you
Well,
might get one puck out, but they're just gonna shoot down the window before any more of them come out.
yeah, and that's like the last game I played on Coastline. Not the last game, but the last time I ran into a fuse was on Coastline, and I had castled off, some of the hookah bomb site. And he went to fuse one of my castle barricades, and like you could just hear it clear as day. I didn't have any impacts left, or else I would have impacted it. But I just like he laid his Matryoshka down, and two pellets came out, and then I shot it off the window, and then that was it. It's like, okay, good job, dude. Like,
yeah,
you did nothing.
I actually kind of wish it could only be destroyed with explosives or being shot from above, or like from the side. Yeah, from the side that isn't being stuck.
I think it'd be more viable that way.
If he's putting it on the floor, you can only shoot it from above.
Yeah, right. Like if you caught him on a flank or something.
Yeah, or if it was on a window, you'd actually have to like break the window in order to get rid of it.
That would be interesting. I don't know how to even like. How do you buff Fuse? Like,
yeah, I think you
does he need a buff?
I think he definitely needs one. I think it just needs to be like you definitely need to keep his pucks predictable because otherwise it's just a shit show.
No. Back when it was random, it was I have a specific memory on the old Hereford base where a fuse like fused the hatch in the basement bomb site, and the thing like bounced over the wall and in like above the lockers where I like all the way across the map.
Yeah.
And blew up, and I died, and I was like, cool. Like this is such a good game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you buff him just by number one, increase his speed. Number two, make him quieter when he's deploying his gadget. Probably make the pucks come out sooner. Like from the moment that you click the button, like have just
more of a Ying style.
Yeah, just have it go shung 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 like real fast, and then have them explode fairly quickly after that. Like as it is, there's just way too much time to get away.
There is a lot of time.
Like between hearing it and then like hearing it being placed and then also hearing the pucks coming out, like there's just no way to there's no way to die from it.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with the shung shung shung. I don't know if that's fast.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with placing it quieter. And I agree with having it. I like I would probably have it activate Ying style where you don't even have to like trigger it. Oh no, because that's kind of part of the cool thing about it is you can set it up
Yeah, and then go somewhere else.
and then go so and like hold an angle and then like flush
Hmm.
people out of whatever like that. I'd probably keep that. That's a cool mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably increase the speed then at which it, but not by too much. Please no. Like I don't want to be like I'm just having like flashbacks of Fuse gadgets.
Yeah.
It's not too much.
Yeah, I definitely don't want it to be like Ying where there's just like no time to react and they go
Well,
everywhere
but
and
then like going to like a castle rework, like I don't think that castle barricades. I don't think that you should be able to fuse those. Like so that I guess that's a nerf technically to fuse, but that for me that's more of just like a castle balance because I love castle
hmm.
and I can't remember if we talked about this in the last episode or not, or if it was some other time. But like I would love to have castle be more viable.
Yeah, I think making the argument about Fuse in relation to Castle is always kind of a weird one when I see it because half the time, like if you go onto the Siege Academy subreddit and you see anybody asking for advice about Castle,
Mhm.
literally every single post you're going to see somebody in there saying, never castle a window because Fuse will come and fuse it. Like, in order for that to be true, people have to actually play Fuse, which nobody
Yep,
does. So, like,
true.
first buff Fuse to the point where he actually gets picked, and
And then we'll
then
talk about
yeah,
it.
and then we can like discuss like nerfing the interaction between Fuse and Castle, because I don't know that whole argument hinges on the fact that people actually play Fuse, which they don't.
Right. At least not in any competitive environment.
Right.
Which by which I mean anything but casual.
Yeah.
Um,
I assume it at lower ranks he probably sees a lot more play, but I don't know that for sure.
I'm sure he does, but yeah, I wouldn't know.
Humble brag.
Humble brag, weird flex, but okay. Um, well, no, and that's the thing, like that that I was like saying earlier is that I just love Castle. I think he's really creative.
Hmm.
The way that he can mold a site and change sightlines and stuff, but he's just too weak, too weak. And it's not even necessarily the fuse thing; it's just all the counters that there are. The myriad counters to his barricades that exist in the game.
Yeah, there's a very large number of counters.
It's huge. I mean, virtually every operator that you could bring could counter Castle, whether it's from an explosive charge or a grenade or a sledgehammer or a breaching charge
Hmm.
or a X Kairos pellets or whatever. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I, I don't know. I would like to see them try to just nerf the interactions that explosive gadgets on the attacking team have with them. But I don't know exactly how that would look. Like, what if?
I mean, I have a lot of ideas, but maybe that's a
Yeah,
subject for another time.
yeah, I think I want to say for sure. Uh, if it were up to me, grenades would have to like literally be touching it when they
Hmm.
blow up in order to actually get rid of it.
Hmm.
Um,
So would you have like some kind of cumulative damage where if you like could do two grenades if the first one didn't make it, or it's just like all or nothing? Or would the barricade have like a hidden kind of health bar
yeah,
where
it would be a hidden health bar, kind of like the melee effect is right now,
Mhm.
because that's in a way
It's
HP.
the
I have
same
no,
concept,
yeah, I
yeah.
have no idea what the actual inner workings of how they do that is. Like, I don't know if 11 melees does, like 370 damage out of the 380 hit points that it has. I don't know exactly how
That's
that
yeah,
works.
that's weird. If that were the case, though, you'd probably be able to shoot it down if you shot enough bullets at it.
Yeah, although they might just have a modifier on the bullet damage where it just does no damage to the castle barricade, but who
Yeah,
knows?
that's true.
There's no
Yeah,
way of
yeah.
knowing.
I
So,
I have no idea how they do it.
but yeah, I would like to see explosives do slightly less damage to it. Like if you ash charge right beside one, it shouldn't blow it up. Like you should actually
You have
have
to
to
hit it.
stick your ash charge into it to blow it
Hmm.
up. And like Zofia charges, maybe it only blows up the area around the where you shot the impact grenade.
I mean,
So
the
you'd actually
radius
have
on
to hit
those
it.
impacts is huge, though. I don't think I think that that's
Well, like think about
like
the hole that a Zofia impact charge makes in a soft wall. Like just
yeah,
translate
it's like
that
this.
into a castle barricade. Like if you hit it on the side, like maybe you don't even have a vault hole. Like you'd have to hit it dead center and
Oh
then get a
yeah,
hole right in the middle where you could vault through it,
yeah, that's
or
fair.
or hit it low dead center so that you can crouch through it. Something like that.
Yeah, there's
It would be a slight buff, but I think it would be good enough because I think Castle is already fine where he's at. It's just there's a lot of counters to him, and if you play Castle into the wrong attacking lineup, like you're just going to be super ineffective. But
yeah,
the attackers
yeah.
actually have to bring the right stuff to get rid of him, and at the moment there's just a lot of things that they can possibly bring in order to get rid of him.
That's true. And he is in a good spot in certain levels of play, right? The pros don't consider him to be underpowered, really. I mean, I'm sure most of them do, but
Yeah,
I
I think
I don't think it's a big deal. Like I think he's fine.
they consider him underpowered, or they don't they consider him situational, which is exactly what he is,
Yeah.
and it's totally fine to have a situational op. I just think at this
Yeah,
point
situational is fine.
he's so situational because there are so many operators that can get rid of his barricades with little
Mhm.
to no effort.
Yeah. Yep, that is true.
All right, well I think we can probably end it there.
Yeah, that probably about covers it. I mean, I can't really think of anything else I wanted to talk about today. I mean, the invitationals, just giving updates to what we said earlier. I mean, I'm excited for it. Um,
For sure.
I'm gonna be watching every match, all the matches that I can
Yeah,
from the group stages all the way through. I mean,
I'm hoping that a blizzard comes through so I get to watch more of it because I'm pretty
it's
sure I'm gonna get lucky. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to get a whole bunch of snow here next week,
yeah,
so I
I
might.
know for sure. It probably already started snowing here, uh, and we're both in the Pacific Northwest, but
Yeah, it's looking like a 70% chance of snow on Tuesday, so
yeah,
that's a
no,
good start.
we're at 100% chance of snow up in Seattle, which it's literally the sky is falling around here. Like nobody knows how to deal with snow in Seattle. It's kind of
Yes,
hilarious.
yeah, it's the same here, but nobody salts the
Yeah,
roads in this area,
yeah,
so
yeah. That's true. Um,
not.
we can't complain. And the Midwest is going through some terrible, terrible weather.
Yeah, I've got a couple
Um,
buddies out there still, and my family lives in Indiana, so it's it's definitely better to be here. Um,
yeah, for sure.
I'm just hoping I get a little bit of a respite from work so I can watch some of these invitational
Mhm.
games.
It's gonna be nice, man. I'm excited for the year four roadmap because it's just something to look forward to and more speculation and
And there's a lot of opportunity for the game to be a lot more fun in the very close future. So
dude, if they implement that six invitational playlist into the game, I will be so happy.
yeah, it'll make a big change in the way I play matchmaking at
Well,
least.
okay, so quickly before we go then, let's just talk a little bit more about that because there are some people that don't want casual to change at all. They want casual to be casual.
Hmm.
So even some other people that want ranked to stay as it is and just want this playlist implemented into the game and they just make it the new ranked.
Hmm.
Um, which I have my thoughts on, but let's hear your thoughts first.
Well, as far as casual goes, I think I don't know. Saying that you don't want it to change at all is kind of absurd. And I think most people want at least some change. Like most people want to be able to pick where they spawn. Most people want to be able to pick their site. I think keeping casual a place where you can go and there's no bans, so you always get an opportunity to play whichever operator you're trying to play, I think
Mhm.
is the right way to go about casual. That's kind of how League of Legends does it. I think there's like the blind pick uh, category, although I haven't played it in forever, so maybe I'm making all this up. But at least it used to be where like there were no bans, so you
Mhm.
always had the opportunity to play the character you were trying to play, which I think casual is a
Right.
great playground
Or the
for.
characters that you paid for to play in advance is I think the point that a lot of people will make.
Yeah, so doing just minor tweaks to casual seems really good. Uh, Anybody who is completely satisfied with the current state of ranked and thinks it needs to not change or thinks they need to add more maps to the ranked pool,
Could just go die.
Man, like,
Just stop playing. Just go away.
yeah, just don't be. However you got to the state where you are, don't be there anymore. Like, stop being the person that you are because you're wrong. Because I don't know, it's like I don't want to be that negative, but also
Well,
the game isn't fun right the way it is right now. Like
no,
ranked is
it's
not
certainly
fun
not. No.
for I feel like a majority of people. There's
And,
too many
and it,
maps, and
yeah.
there's too many terrible operators that aren't balanced,
Mhm.
and there needs to be bans, and there needs to be a smaller map pool. Period.
Yep.
And if all you do is make casual, like add the spawn whatever, and then like reduce the timer, and then make ranked exactly like the SI playlist, I feel like there is a little bit of a niche there where there's people who like something in between, and I think it's totally viable to just like stick in another playlist in there somewhere that's much like ranked is right now. Like, I'm not gonna play it, but I'm sure other people would.
I would probably play it more than like casual. Like if I wanted to get on and like not sweat too hard, but also have it still be relatively competitive, I'd probably play it instead of casual. Because casual right now is for like me when I get on, nobody's on, and I don't want to solo queue ranked, so I just play casual, and it's basically a huge waste of time, right? There's no
Hmm.
point to it.
Yeah, you might as
It's
well be playing
basically
T
just
Hunt.
it's glorified aim training essentially,
Yeah,
um, except that
it's
it's even
very
more of a waste of time.
yeah, very slow aim training.
Yeah, yeah. But at least it's against live enemies, so it's a little bit more realistic in that sense. Because the bots in T Hunt are literal, like actual bots. Like they're terrible.
Yeah.
Um, but so my thoughts on it. I guess it comes from the point of something I dislike about the game in its current state is just the vast disparity between the lowest skilled players and the highest skilled players.
Hmm.
Because there are, the watching the invitational, watching the pro league, you get to see the best players in the world from multiple regions of the world
Hmm.
at the game, and it's a completely different game.
Yeah.
And the pros will say it's even a different game just from playing online versus playing at LAN, and that's coming from, I mean, you're talking about a difference in ping, and
Hmm.
only in ping.
Yeah.
Um, so and then you add to the fact that there's a difference in number of rounds, difference in rule sets between what's on the HUD, what you see in terms of points.
Hmm.
There's a difference in uh, round switching where you don't alternate, you play all your rounds in a row instead of whatever. And then you go filter all the way down. There's differences with even being able to pick sites, pick spawns.
Hmm.
Um, the game is so different at each different level that to me it perpetuates this kind of disparity between the high skilled players and the low skilled players. So what I want to see is I want to see uniform. I want to see uniform rule sets across the whole game. And that
Hmm.
standardizes. I mean, once you standardize the rule sets, then you get people on the same page where people that only play casual, which is a large percentage of the Siege population that do not play ranked at all.
Hmm.
Um, you get those people that they at the very least can watch a pro league match and understand what the hell is going on.
Yeah, and one thing that I notice a lot on the Siege Academy subreddit is that
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people asking the question, what should I know before I go in and play ranked? Or what should I, like, how soon is too soon to start playing ranked?
Yeah.
Because they literally don't know what
No,
ranked
and
is
it's
like.
it's a
Because
completely different
casual,
game.
yeah, because casual is so different that
Yeah.
they simply don't know what ranked is like and what they need to know before they get into it. And if they keep casual exactly the way it is, then it's going to be the same problem times 3 as you keep adding more and more
Yeah.
maps,
Yeah,
and
it's
you
gonna
add
be way worse.
like there's going to be all these people who only play casual and they're playing this giant like 18 map pool, and
Mm-hmm.
then they try to play one ranked game and they're like, I don't know this map well enough because I only get it 1 out of every 18 matches,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't understand the strategy involved because I've never played with bans. And
Or played with the ability to choose where I go.
yeah, even that, like, if you're on Oregon and you just spawn in the wrong spot, now you've got to like run across the map. Like if you spawn construction and they went kitchen, like obviously you should know that, but someone who's never played ranked before might not even realize that they can go back in and switch their spawn.
Yeah, or even like pick a spawn to begin
Mm-hmm.
with. Um, and the jump from casual to ranked is huge. I mean, it's huge. The first ranked game I ever played, luckily I had a bunch of friends that already were familiar with the game, and they, they held my hand through the whole thing. But it's still like it's a completely different experience.
Yeah, and
And it
I
was
think if
jarring. It was like, what the hell is going on?
yeah, and I think if they made casual just a slight step up from where it is now, like add spawn
Well, so,
and shorten the timer, add like spawn locations, shorten the timer, and then you make the current. I think there is a place where you could make a ranked game mode, and then on top of that, one notch further, like ESL rule matchmaking queue.
mhm. Well, the point that I was going to get at is that I want to see the rule set standardized across all playlists. I mean, um,
Oh, like as far as
I
just
well, as far as the
like the
round switching.
numbers, like the round switching and the like the 3 minute timer and the 7 second plant and like
So
so on and so forth.
so I would make it a little easier on casual. So 5 second plants in casual. I would have 2 rounds per side, but the side switching, right? So you play 2 rounds on attack and then you switch to defense. Play 2 rounds or whatever, whichever side you start on.
Yeah.
Um, first to 3 probably wins, or if it goes 2-2, if it goes 2-2, I'd probably just call it a tie and not even have overtime. Everybody gets half the amount of whatever renown
Yeah.
that they would have gotten had
I
one
think
team won.
you and me might be fine with that. I think most of the people who only play casual really want to win or lose.
Um, that is counterintuitive to me just on its face because it's called casual for a reason. Like, why do you give a shit if you win or lose if
Hmm.
you're just playing casual? Like, if you actually care if you win or lose, go play ranked.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I think a lot of people would.
you're probably right. I mean, you can add, okay, overtime, whatever, it's fine. Um, that's not as big of a deal as just standardizing the fucking rules. Like,
Hmm.
be, I wouldn't give it. I'd give it a 3 minute 30 second timer instead of 3 minutes, or because 4 minutes is just too long. Like you play a
Way
casual
too
game,
long.
4 minutes is and it's not necessarily too long just objectively, which it is, but it's not. That's not the point. Is that the difference between that and ranked having that whole minute less
Hmm.
is just so much of a difference. Like people that are accustomed to having all 4 minutes,
Yeah.
you throw them in a ranked match and it's like they just dick around the whole time and then lose.
Yeah. And can you imagine a 4 minute timer while also being able to pick your spawn? So like I think
Ugh.
half the reason the 4 minute timer is still like marginally valid is because you don't get to pick your spawn and say like you spawn them really far
Sometimes
away
you
from
spawn
where
on the
you
wrong side
want
of
to
the map. Yeah.
push and
Mhm.
you just got screwed by your spawn and you have to like
Mhm.
run across the map. That takes time. So like having a longer than 3 minute timer is totally valid, I think. Like I think that's part of the reason they on that house Halloween game mode, they still made
Mhm.
it so that it was a 3 minute and 30 second timer, despite it also being a casual game mode,
Mhm.
because they recognize that yeah, maybe you'll spawn in the wrong spot and you have to spend 20-30 seconds getting over to the other side of the map to enter,
Yeah, and
which
I'm
is
fine with a 3 minute 30 seconds. Like I said, that's what I want to see in
mhm,
casual. But I also, yeah, I want to see you be able to pick where you spawn. Um, I don't know if necessarily I would want the defenders to be able to pick where they go, because I see the value in forcing people to go to off sites, and otherwise they'll just never get played.
yeah.
Um, there are certain maps where, like Villa, for instance, where there's a site on that map that's just absolute garbage.
Hmm.
Um, or on Cafe, which isn't a competitive map, but it's the bakery it's absolute garbage.
Hmm.
And you would never choose to go there. But I see it in a casual setting. I see the value in forcing teams to go to the off sites. Um, but if that's the case, then I would notify everyone in the match, defenders and attackers, which site it was before they pick their operators or their spawns.
Hmm.
Um, and that way, that gets you, in my opinion, that gets you closer to a ranked style where in ranked everybody already knows which site you're going to.
Yeah. There's
For the
like,
most part, I mean, there's
yeah.
it's one or two, right? Depending on the
Mhm.
map, it's either you're going to this site first or this one. And most maps, it's like you know which one it is.
Yeah, it's like
Uh,
Coastline and Consulate. It's a bit of a toss-up sometimes,
right, exactly.
but
Um,
that's
but
about
all
it.
the other maps, everybody knows which one you're going to first.
Mhm.
So to me, that sort of uh, further bridges the gap between casual and ranked if you have that sort of system. Um, and
Yeah.
then,
Although I think we're arguing for what we already know, or at least what you've just laid out is kind of an argument for a mode that is clearly inferior to just letting people pick their spawns and pick the defensives. I think just making it exactly like ranked is now is just the way to go. I get what you mean with the whole there's value in sending people to offsites, but
mhm,
I think it would just be more fun for everyone if the defenders got to pick.
you're probably right. You're probably right. But that's that's something that requires, I guess, just some road testing. Like, um, but the whole point is just to bring the playlists closer together, so that there's not such a huge gap between going from casual to ranked or going from ranked to this six invitational playlist or something like a Go 4 or
Right.
your collegiate league where you're playing on the pro rule set and you have to learn a completely different game.
Right.
And then going from high level play to something like the CCS or the Challenger League, where again you have to learn a completely different game, and then getting up to the Pro League, where even people that are gods in Challenger League get picked up by Pro League teams and just struggle
Mhm.
because it's again a completely different game.
Yeah, and
Um,
I can almost guarantee that not a single one of my players on the collegiate team had ever
mhm.
played the competitive rule set before, because
Oh no, not at all.
there was just never a time where that would have been relevant to any of them.
And they probably most of them probably never watched a Pro League match either.
Yeah, I think maybe one or two of them watched a little bit of Pro League, but that's about it. So yeah, there's just this huge disparity, like you're saying, where the people who haven't played ranked don't know what the hell's going on in ranked, and the people who only play ranked often don't know what the hell's going on in like a pro league rule set. But the
Hmm.
pro league rule set is just so much better. It's just like
It's
leagues beyond
way better.
what
Yeah.
ranked is right now.
Well, because it's balanced to be more competitive. I mean, it's altered fundamentally so that it's more fun and more competitive for the players.
Hmm.
And that trickles down to, okay, so why is that not in place in the main game?
Hmm.
Because if it's more competitive and more balanced, then come on.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, Poet. It's how can it be more fun? There's only 7 maps.
die. Go away. The map pool is huge, dude. It's huge, and it takes forever, especially in a game like this where map knowledge is crucial. In
Yeah,
my opinion, the most crucial aspect of the entire game is map knowledge.
yeah, agreed.
Um,
And
because you can have the
there's way
best
too
aim in the
much.
world, but if you don't know the map, that's only going to help you a little bit.
Yeah, there's way too much to know for the number of maps there are in the current ranked pool.
It's a ton. It's so much to know.
Like unless people play as much as we do, they just aren't gonna know. Like,
No.
do you, like could you tell me like if I just randomly went around on theme park and pinged a floor, like if we were on the same team and I pinged a floor, could you tell me exactly what was below it?
Why'd you have to pick theme park, man?
See, this is my
Theme park
point.
it's one of my least known maps. Pick a different map. No, yeah. So no. The answer is no because theme park was released. I took a break from the game. Theme park was released during that break, and I literally didn't play it for the first time until I switched to PC.
Hmm.
So I only have a few months experience on theme park. So absolutely not. No.
Yeah, and see, like listen to what you just said. You have a few months experience on theme
Months.
park, and you
I
still
probably played theme park like 20 or 30 times,
yeah, and
and I
there's
still I know the top floor
hmm
like very well, and I know actually no, I know the side with drug lab
yeah,
and cafe. I
yep.
know that side of the map, but I couldn't even tell you if that was east or west. I think it's uh west.
I think you're right.
I don't know, but I couldn't even tell you.
Hmm.
And the whole other side of the map, the side with initiation, I know initiation okay, but I don't know the spooky side at all.
Yeah.
Like anything in that bottom corner of the map, I am completely unfamiliar with.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's just like there's not
And I
enough
T hunt on
time.
that map.
Yeah, and there's not enough time for people who like only get to play every couple days, or like they get to
Yeah, and
play
then they
like on the
play.
weekends for like maybe 6 hours. Like all the dads who like just get like a couple hours a week to play, like they're not having as much fun as they would be if they didn't have to learn so many maps.
Hmm. I completely agree. Um, yeah, it's like, or like Tower, for instance. Tower was again one of those maps that got released during my time off, and it's
You're one of the lucky ones then.
yeah, I know. Um, but yeah, I'm completely unfamiliar with Tower. I don't even know. I don't know anything about anything on Tower, which part of it's because it's not in the ranked playlist, right? So I've played it in casual, I think like 3 times.
Hmm. That's
Um,
that's
and
three too
I don't
many
do T
times.
hunts on it. It is three. It's 3 times too many. Like I probably I'm more familiar with Villa than with Theme Park. I'm probably about the same because I've had the same amount of time spent on them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the map pool is way too big. Um, I want to see the the ranked playlist as it is now also switch over. I want to see all of the playlists switch over to the uh, first one side, then the other side mechanic,
Hmm.
because that to me is just fundamentally how the game should be played.
Yeah.
I don't like the alternating switching back and forth. It sucks. It like legit. It sucks.
Yeah, I was kind of indifferent when it first happened, but now I'm just totally on board. Like playing all my defense and then all the attacks is way
It's
better than
amazing.
switching back and forth.
It's amazing. You can actually like keep your train of thought from round to round,
Yeah.
and like you said earlier, like analyze what happened if you lost,
Yeah,
and then
there's
fix
a
it.
bit of a comeback mechanic built into that because the team that just won that site isn't gonna isn't gonna be critically thinking about what exactly went right or wrong. They're just gonna be like happy
No,
that they won the round. So like
yeah,
there's a
it's
little bit of a comeback mechanic built into being able to play, all your defenses in a row and
mhm.
analyzing what went wrong and then fixing it.
Yeah. Failure is the mother of success. It's when you lose that you have the opportunity then to succeed after that.
Hmm.
It's if you're winning, then you don't learn anything, really. Ooh,
Yeah.
our strategy worked. Cool, great.
Yeah.
What happens if it doesn't work next time? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it takes
Yeah,
a
so
lot
that's my
more.
point. That's what I want to see all of the rounds changed for all of the game modes, just to streamline the sort of not only the playing aspect but the viewing aspect as well.
Yeah, definitely a lot easier to view if you only have to recognize that the side switched once.
It's just a complete shit show. I mean, comparing casual and ranked right now to the Pro League rule set, it's just not even close. And
Hmm.
then like say you got the 7-second plants, which I'm fine with. People don't really plant that much in ranked anyway. Um,
That's fairly true. It,
so
I, I
like
I actually have a huge beef with a short plant timer. Like I think it's to the point where just like the current ranked plant time is
mhm,
so slow that you can just like 1v1 plant the diffuser by yourself
mhm.
half the time with no effort.
Yeah,
Because there's just no time for them to be like, is he planting? Is he definitely planting? By
yeah,
by the time you second guess yourself, it's planted.
yeah. 5 seconds really isn't a long time. Uh, which you would think that 7 seconds wouldn't be much longer, but like in the game,
Hmm.
it is. It feels like it is a long time.
Yeah, it's incredibly noticeable.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, that's all. Like people can are debating whether or not points should be turned on or off. Leave that up to the players. I think leaving points on is fine.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
a non-issue almost.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, I play with points off because um, well, it used to when I first turned them off, it was because so I would stop being all point hungry and
Hmm.
chasing downs and chasing um like assists and stuff. Like I used to be very point hungry and it was affecting my play.
Hmm.
Uh, so I turned it off, and it's a lot of it too is just visual clutter. Like
Yeah.
seeing the points on screen is just clutter. Don't care. Don't need to see it.
I was actually wondering earlier in the scrim that we played, you
Hmm.
went underneath into classroom in order to shoot a mute jammer off.
Yeah.
How did you know that when you got it?
So there was a visual cue of you see like the little sparks in the air.
Okay. I was
So
wondering if
like
you
when you
had
shoot a
somebody.
drone and they're
I was wondering if you had
no
somebody point check you.
no, it was just me and Icons alive, and he
Okay.
was busy like fighting, doing Icons things.
Mhm.
So but I think he died. Yeah, he died. He left me in a 1v1, which I should have won. That Maestro was on 8 health. I should have just kept shooting, but I decided to try and plant, which was dumb.
Yeah.
Um, that was a really fun game though. But yeah, so there was a visual cue. I saw the same sort of like sparks that you see when you shoot a drone. I saw it
Mhm.
through the floor. And
Yeah.
also there was an audio cue because you can hear
You can kind of hear that like
when the mute jammer
noise.
winds down. Yeah, it goes.
Yeah.
Meow.
Yeah.
So that's when I knew I got it.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious
Because I
about
was
that
just
because I
blind
didn't know.
firing through the floor.
Yeah, because I didn't know for sure what you heard or saw to give
That's
you
what I.
that
So
cue.
that's yeah. And I actually so when I did that, I wanted Icons to go and do that because he was the Ash,
Yeah.
and I wanted him to go below and do that, but he was busy, so I was like, "Fuck it." So I pinged the wall.
Busy. You say he was busy. He was probably just like
Quote unquote busy.
holding an angle and like trying to
No.
think about how to kill the next person.
Yeah, he was like, crouch spam, QE spam, like lean fighting with the Maestro, I think.
Busy.
Um, busy. But so I pinged the wall, and then I hopped out the Master. This was on Oregon
Hmm.
for anybody who's listening. Trying to take Master, or we took Master, trying to take
Yeah, you were trying to
small
open
dorms.
the
Yeah,
closet wall.
the closet wall. So I pinged the wall, and I hopped out the balcony, went down below into classroom, and so the ping showed me where the wall was, and I basically just blind fired
Hmm.
through the floor until I saw and heard the mute jammer go away.
Yeah, which
And
you.
then my thermite charge was already pre-planted because I tried to blow it earlier, and then so at that point I blew the thermite charge and then rotated back up,
Yeah, and
and
which
then
you
lost the
didn't know it
gunfight
at
to
the
them.
time, but you could have actually planted your thermite charge all the way to the left because the placement of the jammer
Oh
was kind of bad.
yeah, I didn't know that.
Uh,
We
but
couldn't
yeah,
drone it
that's
because
yeah, and then also for anyone listening and for you, Poet, if you want to know where the wall is, there's that ceiling fan in classroom. The
mm-hmm,
ceiling fan is right where the wall is. So anything to the north of the ceiling fan
mm-hmm.
is inside the dorms, the small dorms, and anything to
Okay,
the south of it is the closet.
that is good to know.
Hot
I did
hot
not know that.
tips. Hot tips
Hot
from Daddy
tips,
Bino.
tip of the day. Um, yeah, I find that just using Z pings is a very underutilized uh, advantage that you can have in the game. I like if you're in a gunfight or if you need somebody to do something. Like we were playing on Clubhouse, for instance, and I needed the Ash had taken the lounge. We were attacking Cash.
Hmm.
The Ash had taken lounge already and was like fighting the bottom of the metal stairs. And I was like, "Hey, while you're there, can you get this battery off this wall since you're down beneath?" He's like, "Yeah, where's the wall?" And I pinged the wall,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, okay, that's where the." I was like, "Yeah, just Ash charge,
Hmm.
just west of that ping."
Yeah.
And you got
And
it.
just imagine if there were only 7 maps in the ranked pool, maybe that Ash already knows where that is.
Maybe
Maybe
a lot less of her brain space taken up by knowing
theme
theme
park and
park and
New
chalet and
Hereford.
cafe. Yeah, New Hereford's another one. Like I'm the only bomb site that I miss on the old Hereford is the basement. I liked the basement. It was fun to play as a defender.
Yeah,
But the rest of the map could go fuck itself.
100%.
I hated it. It's better now. But it's still just they
Bad.
made the top floor too good. It's too good.
Yes. And
And like
it's like I don't even necessarily hate the rest of the map. It's just I hate how the rest of the map comes together. Like I like a lot of the rooms in it. I think there's a lot of kind of interesting angles to hold in certain rooms, but the
mhm,
map itself just does not come together correctly. Like
yeah.
the stairs both look exactly the same. The only way to know which one you're on is like maybe a very slight color difference.
Yeah, they
And
have a
then
slightly different color palette.
and then uh and then looking at the compass. That's like it. Every time I'm at one of those stairs, I'm just like I have to look at the compass to know which one I'm at.
Yeah, that's true. Um and especially in the basement, like I forget that other set of stairs even exists.
Yeah.
Like there's the stairs by barrels, and
Hmm.
then the other stairs in the back, I just completely forget about until somebody comes down them and like kills me or something. But
Yeah.
um, I think like the map's okay. I think that uh, it's a bit repetitive on the attack because you basically like no matter which floor, unless you're attacking the basement, and even sometimes when you're attacking the basement, you just want to take from the top down, no matter what. Like
Hmm.
third floor, you attack the third floor. If there is second floor, you attack the third floor still and take top control.
Hmm.
Um, you just keep taking top control over and over again, which involves just east stairs and the south rappel onto like the tractor balcony, and that's it. Like
Yep.
I don't know, it's just repetitive.
Yeah, and I think most of that is just to do with the kind of the weird access points on the map. Like
Yeah,
there's only a couple doorways to get into each floor. There's I don't know.
yeah. There's only two doorways, right,
Yeah,
on
it
the
kind of
top floor.
suffers from the Bartlett problem of just not
Yeah,
enough entry points,
of
and
just
the entry
being
points that do
shitty.
exist are like just windows that you have to
It's
repel to. Or
it suffers from the Bartlett problem of being a Reddit map.
yeah,
I would rather play Favela than play on Bartlett.
yeah, me too. I would actually play on Favela over a couple other maps.
I like Favela. It's certainly not well balanced. Definitely heavily attacker favored.
Yeah, I don't want to touch it in ranked for sure, but
No, not at
I
all.
have
But
more fun on Bartlett than I ever did on either Yacht or Bartlett.
oh, you mean Favela?
Yeah, I have more fun on
Yeah,
Favela than I ever did on Bartlett or Yacht.
yeah. Yacht's another interesting map.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting is one word.
yeah,
Boring as
I,
shit is the other words you
boring
could
as
use.
shit. Yeah, Yacht was not great. I mean, it's a cool concept. Like I understand that the game was designed around sort of counter-terrorist,
Hmm.
like a lot of the time real life counter-terrorist situations.
Yeah.
I don't
Mm,
think Yacht was one of them, but
yeah, I think
Plane
if
was.
they totally redesigned Yacht and gave it more verticality, give it some more destructible floors, make
Well,
it
it
a
just
little
needs to be
smaller.
bigger, smaller. Maybe like lengthwise, but widthwise, I think it's pretty.
Oh, in that, yeah, yeah, make it more square, I
It's
guess. I don't
it's
know.
yeah, it's like
But
it's a
then
long
at that
tube, just like
point,
Plane.
yeah, but at a certain point, it's no longer a boat. But
True, true.
although I think
Could
there are
could
a
be a
lot of,
boathouse,
I think like a cruise ship is usually
houseboat.
fairly wide, so I think you could
Yeah,
pretty easily make an argument for making just a
like a
wider boat.
like a barge. What if it was like an oil tanker or something that like crashed?
Yeah, I'm down. Just give it destructible floors and don't
Yeah,
like.
yeah, that doesn't make sense on an oil tanker.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah, we've got these
you
wooden
have
floors on
to
this boat.
yeah, you just have to
Why?
like bend reality for a few things just for the sake of playability and fun, which they
Well,
just
that's
needed
every
to,
map. Yeah,
yeah, they just needed to do that on Yacht especially because the way it is just bad. But
like how Cafe Dostoevsky has no bathrooms.
yeah. I've been looking up that real life cafe,
Hmm.
Cafe Pushkin, I think it's called. I'm gonna go to Moscow someday and I'm gonna go eat there.
Are you really?
The food looks so good.
Yeah. Well,
It's
I
like the
mean,
fanciest looking place I've ever seen. Like I will look out of place there. But
I think you'll look at a place anywhere in Russia.
that's probably true. Well, on that note, I think you want to just wrap it up here then. Now that we've
Yeah,
gone on another 45-minute tangent after we were
yeah, that's
already
it.
deciding we were going to end it.
Yeah, we went over time a lot.
Oh well. Um,
But yeah, so
yeah,
thanks for listening. If you made it this far, really appreciate all the love we've been getting for the first for that first episode. So
yeah. So we will see you next week. Bye bye.